Think of someone with a big idea, something exciting, fresh, and full of potential, but they don't act. Fear of failure keeps them stuck, second-guessing every move. What if it doesn't work? What if people judge? What if everything falls apart? This fear is common. It stops people from chasing dreams, starting businesses, or even speaking up. In today's fast-changing world, many feel it, especially when leaving stable jobs, launching something new, or sharing their ideas. But fear doesn't have to win. Stoicism offers practical tools to face it. This ancient philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can control, our choices, actions, and mindset, and let go of the rest. As Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Failure isn't the end, it's part of the process. NASA's Mars missions, Elon Musk's journey, and countless others prove this. Every mistake teaches something vital. The Stoics used simple practices like visualizing setbacks, showing gratitude, and building discipline. These helped them stay calm, focused, and brave. This guide gives you 35 of those strategies, clear, powerful ways to face fear, act with purpose, and move forward with confidence. With the right mindset, failure becomes a teacher, not a wall. So write it down now, and let's begin. Number 1. Shrink your fear by changing your perspective. Stop, breathe, and look around you. You're afraid. You feel stuck. You don't know if you'll succeed or if you'll mess it all up. That fear in your chest, it feels big, heavy, like it owns you. But let me ask you something. Have you ever tried to see your fear from far away? Have you ever stepped outside your head, looked at yourself from a distance, and asked, is this really that big of a deal? The Stoics had a way of doing that. They called it the view from below, a simple shift in perspective that changes everything. It means zooming out from your current situation. Zooming out until you see the truth, that your fear is not as big as it pretends to be, that most of the things you worry about will not matter in the long run, that you are stronger than your fear because you can observe it. So, do it now. Picture yourself from above, you standing in your room, on your street, in your city. Now, zoom out again. Picture the earth. Picture your small corner of it. How small is your fear now? How big is your failure now? In the grand scheme of things, is it really that terrifying? Or is it just a moment, a blip in a much bigger picture? You see, fear feels huge when you're too close to it. It fills your vision. It clouds your mind. But when you step back, when you create distance, you gain clarity. You see that fear is just a thought, a guess, a prediction, and most of the time, it's wrong. Marcus Aurelius understood this. He reminded himself often that he was just a small part of the universe, that his problems, his pressures, even his pain, were temporary and small compared to the vastness of life itself. He wasn't minimizing himself. He was freeing himself. Because when you realize how little control you have over the world, you also realize that fear doesn't deserve the control it has over you. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of today? Say it out loud. Then step back, zoom out. Will this matter a year from now? Will it matter in 10 years? Will it matter when you're at the end of your life, looking back at the chances you didn't take? No, it won't. So why let it own your mind now? Try this next time fear creeps in. Pause. Close your eyes. Visualize the earth. Picture yourself on it, small but still standing. Then look at your fear. Watch it shrink. Watch it lose its grip. This is not about denying your fear. It's about shrinking it down to its real size. The fear of failure, the fear of being judged, the fear of falling short. It only grows because you let it sit too close to your heart. Push it back. Put it in perspective. Most people never do this. They let fear scream in their face and they obey. But you won't. Not anymore. From now on, when fear shows up, you will respond with a new habit. Distance. You will not react. You will reflect. You will zoom out. And then you will act. Not because the fear is gone, but because it is no longer in charge. This is the mindset of someone who moves forward. Someone who refuses to be ruled by anxiety or self-doubt. This is what makes you strong, not because you don't feel fear, but because you see through it. So remember this, when your mind makes a problem feel too big to handle, shrink it. Don't shrink yourself, shrink the fear. Look at it from above, from a distance, from the eyes of someone who knows they have one life to live and no time to waste running from imaginary battles. Every time you zoom out, you gain strength. Every time you put your fear in its place, you rise. That's the power of the view from below. Use it, trust it, and take your next step with clarity. Number 2, see every challenge as training, not punishment. Let's be real. Life hits hard sometimes. You try your best, and still things go wrong. People let you down. Plans collapse. You fail even when you gave everything. And when that happens, it's easy to ask, why me? It's easy to feel like life is against you, like you're being punished. But the Stoics saw it differently. They believed you are not being punished, you are being prepared. You are not a victim, you are a student. You are not cursed, you are being tested. Life is not doing this to destroy you. Life is doing this to build you. Imagine this. You are the universe's test subject. Every challenge that comes your way is a custom-designed lesson, crafted just for your growth. Not to break you, but to shape you, to make you better, stronger, wiser. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That wasn't just a nice quote. It was how he lived. When something hard happened, he didn't ask, "Why me?" He asked, "What is this training me for?" And you must do the same. Every hard moment is an opportunity. When you fail, it's training for humility. When you're rejected, it's training for resilience. When you're judged, it's training for confidence. When you're delayed, it's training for patience. When you're afraid, it's training for courage. You are in the arena. Life throws the punches not to knock you out, but to make sure you can take them and keep moving. So next time something goes wrong, don't say, "This isn't fair." Say, "This is the test." And remember, nobody grows strong in comfort. Comfort makes you soft. Difficulty makes you sharp. You want to conquer fear of failure? Then you need to stop seeing failure as the enemy. Start seeing it as a coach, a lesson, a drill designed to make you unshakable. This mindset changes everything. You stop reacting like a victim. You start responding like a warrior. You stop breaking down. You start building up. And every time you get hit, you say, "Good, let's go again." Epictetus, another great Stoic, said, "Difficulties show what men are." That means the test reveals the truth, not to others, to you. You find out what you're made of when the pressure is on. And if you don't like what you see, good. Now you know what to work on. You grow by facing the test, not avoiding it. So the next time something goes wrong, smile. Not because you enjoy pain, but because you know it has purpose. Say to yourself, I was chosen for this. Say, I'm being prepared for something greater. Say, let's see what I'm made of. This is the Stoic way, to turn every challenge into fuel, to face life like a soldier on a mission, not a tourist on vacation, to treat every hard thing not as punishment, but as preparation. You are the cosmic test subject. You are the one being trained. And the only question is, will you pass the test? Will you rise above the fear, or will you let the test defeat you before it even begins? You already know the answer. You were made for this. So when the next challenge comes, don't flinch. Don't ask why. Just square your shoulders, breathe deep, and say, let the test begin. Number 3. Focus only on what's yours to command. Look at your day. Look at your thoughts. How much time do you spend worrying about things you can't control? Be honest. You stress over what people will think. You replay conversations in your head. You fear how things might turn out. You try to control the future, the outcome, the reaction, everything. But here's the truth. That's not your job. The Stoics had a rule, one that cuts through fear like a knife. It's called inverted control. And it means this. You stop trying to control what's outside you, and you double down on what's inside you. You flip the way you think about control. You invert it. Because real strength is not found in trying to shape the world. It's found in shaping yourself. Epictetus said it simply, some things are up to us, and some things are not. That's the line. That's the boundary. And crossing that line, trying to control the uncontrollable, is where stress, anxiety, and fear are born. Let's make it clear. You don't control the weather. You don't control what other people say. You don't control if the world applauds or criticizes. You don't control the outcome, but you do control your effort. You control your thoughts. You control your attitude. You control your response. That's where your power lives. Right there. Fear of failure grows when you confuse what's yours with what isn't. You fear trying because you think the outcome defines you, but it doesn't. What defines you is your action, your courage, your discipline, not the result. So let go of the rest. Let go of what happens next. Let go of whether you succeed or fail. Let go of how people react. All of that is outside the line. You're not weak for letting go. You're wise. This is what the Stoics knew. When you try to control everything, you end up controlling nothing. But when you focus only on what's within your reach, you become powerful, steady, clear. This is what inverted control teaches you. It says, flip the focus. Don't ask, how do I make this work? Ask, what can I do today that is fully mine to do? Then do it. With full heart, with full strength, without needing applause or reward. When you start a project, don't cling to the outcome. When you speak your truth, don't try to control who agrees. When you train, study, grow, don't obsess over the scoreboard. Let all of that go. It's not yours. The action is yours. The mindset is yours. The effort is yours. And that's more than enough. The Stoics weren't trying to win over the world. They were trying to win over themselves. That's the only victory that lasts, the only one you truly own. So when fear creeps in, when your mind starts racing with what-ifs and worst-case scenarios, pause. Draw the line. Ask, is this mine to control? If the answer is no, drop it. If the answer is yes, focus fully. This simple practice will give you peace. More than that, it will give you power. Because now, You're not wasting energy on shadows. You're not chasing things that aren't yours. You're not burning out trying to fix what isn't broken. You're centered. You're focused. You're in command of what really matters. This is not a trick. It's not wishful thinking. It's training, daily mental discipline. And it works. So take this idea and live it. Write it down. Remind yourself often, what is mine to control? And every time fear rises, answer that question. Then act on that, and only that. That's how you move forward with strength. That's how you become unshakable. Number 4, let go of labels and free yourself to grow. Who are you? Really, who are you when no one's watching? Are you the title on your resume? The follower count on your profile? The role you play at work, at home, in your circle? Or are you something deeper, something that doesn't change every time the world does? The truth is, most fear comes from trying to protect an identity. You're afraid to fail, not just because of the result, but because failure threatens how you see yourself. Or worse, how others see you. But here's the thing, that identity, it's made up, it's fragile, and most of it isn't even yours, it's borrowed. The Stoics knew this. They understood that the more attached you are to your image, your status, your ego, the more fear will control you. And the more you can detach from labels, the freer you become. This is identity suspension, the practice of letting go of who you think you are so you can become who you actually are. Let's break it down. You say, I'm a winner. Sounds good, until you lose. You say, I'm a leader. But what happens when you make a mistake? You say, I'm smart. But then you mess up, and suddenly you're shattered. See the trap? When your identity is built on fragile labels, failure feels like death. You don't just fail at something, you feel like you've failed at being someone. And that's the kind of fear that paralyzes. So, what's the answer? You let go. You suspend the identity. You stop trying to be someone and start focusing on doing the work. You stop protecting your image and start sharpening your character. You stop proving and start improving. Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. In other words, stop trying to look like the thing, just be the thing. You don't need to tell the world who you are. You just need to show up and act like it. This doesn't mean you don't have values. It means your values aren't tied to status. They're tied to actions. You are not a successful person. You are someone who works hard today. You are not a fearless leader. You are someone who chooses courage in this moment. You are not a Stoic. You are someone practicing resilience right now. See the shift? You go from being fragile to being fluid. You go from holding on to moving forward. You go from fearing failure to learning from it. Because if you don't need to defend a title, you don't need to fear losing it. And that frees you. Suspend the identity. Be the student, always. Every time you try something new, release the need to be good. Every time you fall, release the shame of not living up to the label. Every time you face fear, release the story of who you should be, and just respond with action. This isn't about lowering standards, it's about raising the bar for honesty. You don't need to be impressive, you need to be real, focused, committed to the work. That's where growth lives, that's where fear fades. So the next time your mind says, "What will people think of me if I fail?" answer it with this: I'm not here to protect an image, I'm here to practice a principle. Let go of the costume, step into the truth. You are not a brand. You are a human being, learning, growing, moving forward. That's enough. And that's how you beat fear. Not by pretending to be more, but by releasing the need to pretend at all. Number 5. Provisional life mindset. Stop waiting. Start living. How many times have you said to yourself, "I'll do it later," or "It's not the right time yet"? How many days, weeks, or even years have slipped through your fingers while you waited? For the perfect moment, for more confidence, for some sign that now is finally the time to begin. You might not realize it, but this mindset, the quiet belief that your real life hasn't started yet, is one of the biggest traps holding you back. The Stoics knew it well. They called it living in a provisional life, a life where everything is temporary, everything is on pause, and nothing truly begins. You keep pushing your purpose, your goals, your courage into the future. You live like this moment is just practice, like the real thing is still on its way. But it's not. This moment right now, this day, this hour, this version of you, is the real thing. This is your life. It's not a test. It's not a draft. There is no dress rehearsal. You don't get a second chance at today. The longer you wait, the more you lose. You think you're being smart, being patient, waiting for the right timing, but all you're really doing is training your mind to delay, to hesitate, to doubt. And hesitation feeds fear. The longer you avoid action, the heavier your fear becomes. The task seems bigger, the failure seems more dangerous, and the idea of starting feels impossible. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, warned us, "It's not that life is short, it's that we waste much of it." What he meant was this: life gives us enough time, but we use it wrong. We keep pushing our dreams to later. We build our lives around waiting. We expect that someday we'll wake up fearless, ready, complete, but that day doesn't come unless we decide to act. You don't need to feel confident to begin. You need to begin to feel confident. You don't need to wait until everything is perfect. You need to move while things are still uncertain. Growth doesn't come from planning. It comes from doing. And failure? It's not the enemy. It's part of the path. The Stoics lived with urgency, not anxiety, urgency. They knew that death was not far, that time was not guaranteed, so they acted. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every day, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Not to scare himself, but to stay focused, to live fully, to stop wasting time pretending tomorrow is promised. And you must do the same. Stop waiting for the fear to disappear. It won't. Stop waiting for everything to feel comfortable. It never will. The only way to build courage is to start, even if your hands shake. The only way to build momentum is to take the first step, even if it's small. You don't need to become a new person to begin. You just need to stop delaying. There's no perfect version of you coming to save you. There's no perfect day arriving in the future where everything lines up. That fantasy is how fear tricks you into staying still. That fantasy is how your dream slowly dies. So when that voice inside says, "Let's wait just a little longer," answer it clearly. No, I've waited long enough. Because this is it. This is the time. This is the version of you that needs to act. Not tomorrow, not later, now. No more excuses, no more delay, no more provisional life. You're not preparing for your life. You're living it, right here, right now, and it's time to move. Number 6, make fear ridiculous, and it loses its grip. Fear has a secret weapon. It takes itself too seriously. It whispers in your mind like it's a voice of truth. It paints dark pictures, dramatic scenes, worst-case scenarios that feel so real you start to believe them. And once you believe them, you freeze, you stop, you avoid, you shrink. But what if you laughed? What if instead of letting fear act like some wise advisor, you exposed it for what it really is, a bad storyteller with a flair for the dramatic? The Stoics had a method for this, and it's simple. Take the thing you're afraid of and parody it. Make it absurd. Drag it into the light. Turn it into a cartoon, a joke, a movie scene that's so over the top it breaks its own spell. You're afraid to fail? Okay, let's look at it. You give a bad presentation. Your slides crash. You stutter. Someone in the back checks their phone. The meeting ends. You go back to your desk. No music plays. No spotlight follows you with shame. Nobody throws tomatoes at you. You don't get thrown out into the street. You don't get chased by villagers with pitchforks. You just move on. That's it. See how ridiculous fear sounds when you zoom in? You're scared to ask for something, a raise, a chance, a yes, and your fear says, don't do it, they might reject you. So parody it. What's the worst they'll do? Gasp dramatically, yell, how dare you, and flip over a desk, call a press conference to announce your failure? No. They'll say no. Maybe kindly. Maybe not. But that's it. And then life keeps going. Fear hates this because it wants to be treated like a god, like a final judge, like it gets to decide what you do and who you become. But you take that power away when you mock the script. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoics, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." He wasn't saying fear is silly. He was saying it becomes silly when you face it directly, when you stop letting it live in the shadows, when you stop treating it like prophecy and start treating it like what it really is, exaggeration. Try this next time you feel fear creeping in. Write out the worst-case scenario, but do it like a comedy sketch. Act it out in your head like a scene from a bad soap opera. Picture your failure happening, and then picture what you'd actually do next. Spoiler, you'd survive. That's the point. You're still here. You've failed before. You've stumbled. You've been embarrassed. And you're still breathing, still growing, still standing. Fear wants you to forget that. So remind it. The more seriously you treat fear, the more serious it becomes. But if you mock it, you break its illusion. You take back control. You remember that failure is not death. It's data. It's training. It's part of the path. So from now on, don't run from the worst-case scenario. Drag it into the open. Shine a spotlight on it. Laugh at it if you have to. Say to yourself, oh no, I'll try something and it won't work. And then I'll be human? Exactly. Failure doesn't make you worthless. It makes you real. Embarrassment doesn't make you weak. It makes you visible. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means pay attention. And then keep going anyway. So next time fear shows up with its dramatic voice and heavy tone, smile. Say, nice story. Now let's get back to work. That's the power of parody the worst. And it works every time. Number 7, make effort your habit, not outcome your obsession. Think about how most people approach action. They tie it to success. They try once, maybe twice, and if they don't win, they stop. They say, it didn't work, or maybe I'm not meant for this. Why? Because they're obsessed with the result, with validation, with getting it right now. But the Stoics had a better way. They didn't measure their lives by wins. They measured by effort, by repetition, by showing up again and again, no matter the outcome. This is the idea of ritualizing attempts. It means you don't just try when you feel inspired. You don't just move when it feels easy. You build effort into your identity. You make the act of trying, every day, every time, a non-negotiable ritual. It's no longer about whether you succeed or fail. It's about whether you showed up, whether you pushed forward, whether you gave your best in that moment. This is how you kill fear of failure. Not by getting it perfect the first time, but by showing your mind that you'll keep showing up no matter what. Fear fades when effort becomes routine. You want to write? Then write every day, without needing the perfect idea. You want to grow stronger? Then train, even if you don't feel like it. You want to speak up, lead, create, build, then act, again and again, until action is your instinct. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his thoughts so others would praise him. He wrote as a ritual to strengthen his mind. Epictetus didn't lecture to become famous. He taught because it was the right thing to do. They focused on action, the discipline of doing, not on the reward. You must do the same. Make your attempts sacred. Make your effort a ceremony. Make the work your reward. Don't say, "I'll try when I'm ready." Say, "I show up every day because that's who I am." This is the Stoic mindset. You don't wait for the outcome to give you motivation. You don't chase the applause. You don't crumble after one setback. You return. You try again. You ritualize the process. Because repetition builds mastery. Repetition builds resilience. Repetition trains your mind to stay steady even when the world shakes around you. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency. Showing up again and again and again until the act becomes part of you. Don't confuse failure with finality. One failed attempt doesn't mean the path is wrong. It means you are learning. It means you are collecting data. It means you are doing what most people don't have the courage to do. Try. Fear hates repetition. It feeds on hesitation. But once you make effort your habit, fear starts to fade. It loses its grip. Because you no longer care about being perfect, you care about being present. You care about showing up. So ask yourself, what action do I need to repeat today? Then do it, not for results, not for approval, but because this is who you are becoming. And the more you repeat the right action, the more your fear of failing fades away, because deep down you know that no matter what happens, you will be back tomorrow. Stronger, clearer, more grounded. Make that your ritual. Make that your life. Number 8. Stop caring about what doesn't matter. You care too much. That's the problem. You care about what they think. You care about how you look. You care if they like your post, if they approve, if they notice. You care so much that it exhausts you. It paralyzes you. It stops you from trying because you're too busy protecting your image instead of building your strength. But what if you didn't? What if you learned to care less, on purpose? The Stoics had a strategy for this. It wasn't coldness. It wasn't numbness. It was discipline. It was tactical indifference, the ability to say, "This doesn't matter, so I will not waste my time, my focus, or my energy on it." That's power. Because not everything deserves your care. Not every opinion needs a response. Not every failure is a crisis. Not every voice is worth your attention. You don't need to stop caring about everything. You just need to stop caring about the things that don't help you grow. You care about doing the work? Good. You care about getting better? Good. You care about living with integrity? Even better. But you do not need to care about gossip. You do not need to care about how loud your critics are. You do not need to care about the things that are outside your control. This is tactical. It's a move. It's focus. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That means you get to decide what you give your mind to, what thoughts you nurture, what reactions you allow. So let go of the rest. Someone doesn't believe in you? Let them. Someone criticizes your progress? Good. Let them talk. You didn't hit your mark today? That's fine. Learn and adjust. None of it changes who you are. The goal here isn't to become careless. It's to become careful. To care only about what moves you forward. To protect your mental energy like it's gold. Because it is. When you stop leaking it into every useless thought, you gain clarity, focus, and momentum. Fear feeds off attention. The more you feed it, the more it grows. So starve it. Practice indifference. Shrug. Let things go. Say, "That's not mine to carry." Say, "That doesn't deserve my reaction." Say, "I'm not giving that my energy." And keep moving. This is how you stay steady in the storm. Not because you're numb, but because you're aimed. Because you have something bigger to focus on. Because your mission is more important than someone else's opinion. Start today. When something distracts you, ask, "Does this help me grow?" When fear speaks, ask, "Is this useful?" When the world shouts, ask, "Is this worth my energy?" If the answer is no, let it go. This is tactical indifference, and it's not weakness, it's control, it's mental armor. It's how you stay strong when life throws chaos your way. So don't waste yourself on noise. You have work to do. You have growth to chase. You have fear to conquer. And none of that requires permission from anyone else. Be indifferent to what doesn't matter. Be obsessed with what does. And watch how far you go. Number 9. Clear the weight before it controls you. You've felt it before. That quiet bitterness that lingers after someone wrongs you, doubts you, embarrasses you. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. But it stays. Days later, it echoes. It repeats itself in your mind over and over again. They shouldn't have treated me like that. They don't believe in me. I'll show them. And without noticing, you start making decisions not from strength, but from resentment. This is dangerous, because resentment is a silent poison. It doesn't feel like fear, but it acts just like it. It clouds your thinking. It twists your actions. You no longer create for growth. You act to prove. You no longer move forward with clarity. You react to a ghost of the past. The Stoics warned us about this. They taught that if you don't address your inner anger, it will control you from the shadows. And most people don't even know they're carrying it. They think they're just being driven, just being competitive, just working harder. But deep down, it's not purpose pushing them. It's pain. Unresolved, unspoken pain. That's why this practice matters. Detect resentment echoes. Before you act, pause and ask yourself, where is this energy coming from? Is this about your future or your past? Are you being guided by wisdom or by wounds? Most people don't do this. They let resentment sit. They carry it into every room, every project, every goal. They think they've moved on, but they haven't. They're just dragging the weight with them. Seneca said, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." The same is true of anger. You think it fuels you, but it burns you from the inside out. So, how do you detect the echo? Listen to your thoughts. Pay attention to the tone. When you say, "I'll show them," pause. When you say, "They're going to regret this," pause. When you say, "They never believed in me," pause. That's not purpose talking. That's pain. And your job is not to bury it. Your job is to clear it, not with revenge, not with outbursts, but with awareness, with reflection, with forgiveness, not for them, but for yourself, so you can stop carrying it, so you can move freely again. The goal is not to be unbothered. The goal is to not be bound. You feel it, you understand it, and then you release it. You don't let it echo for days, for months, for years. You quiet it by refusing to build your life around it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that people will lie, betray, insult, and still his job was to stay just, to stay calm, to stay in control of himself. He didn't pretend to enjoy injustice, but he didn't allow it to define him either, and neither should you. So before you chase success, ask yourself, is this movement coming from peace or from poison? Because resentment wears a disguise. It looks like hustle, it looks like drive, but it's hollow, and it will leave you empty. Catch the echo, name it, then let it go. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. You deserve a clear mind, a steady heart, a purpose that isn't tangled in the past. So clear the resentment. Don't carry it into your next decision. Silence the echo and move forward clean. Number 10. Don't trust every feeling in real time. Let's get one thing straight. Not every emotion you feel is true. Not every thought that pops into your head is wise. But here's the mistake we all make. We react to them as if they are. We get one bad feeling and we let it hijack the whole day. One moment of doubt, and we throw away our entire plan. One wave of fear, and suddenly we're convinced we're not good enough. But what if that feeling was just a delay, a false alarm, a lag? The Stoics understood this. They knew emotions aren't always real-time signals. They're often leftovers from yesterday's stress, last week's failure, or old fears trying to catch up with your current self. That's why you need to practice emotional lag tracking, the discipline of pausing, noticing, and asking, is this feeling about now, or is it just echoing from the past? Here's how it works. You wake up feeling off, no motivation, heavy mood, but nothing actually went wrong yet, no crisis, no setback. Still, you feel slow, stuck. Pause. Don't believe everything you feel. Track it. Ask, where is this coming from? Did I sleep poorly? Was I overwhelmed yesterday? Did something trigger a memory, a fear, a doubt? 9 times out of 10, the emotion you feel right now was created earlier, but if you don't slow down and track it, it'll control you like it's truth. Emotional lag is real. It's like muscle soreness after a hard workout. The pain comes later, but it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're healing. The same goes for your mind. Sometimes your fear today is just your brain still processing a mistake you already fixed. Sometimes your anger today is just stress from something that no longer matters. And if you can see that, if you can create even a small space between the feeling and your reaction, you win. That's the Stoic move. Pause before you respond. Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly. He wrote to himself, "Today I escaped anxiety," or no, I discarded it. He realized he wasn't escaping a real threat. He was choosing to let go of an emotion that didn't serve him. You can do the same. Next time fear rises, don't panic. Next time self-doubt whispers, don't obey. Next time you feel like quitting, don't trust that feeling right away. Instead, ask, is this from now or is this from before? Is this a signal or just a shadow? Is this helping me or holding me back? When you get good at this, everything changes. You stop reacting blindly. You stop mistaking mood for meaning. You stop letting temporary emotions create permanent regret. You become deliberate, grounded, in control. That's what emotional lag tracking gives you. So write this down, memorize it, repeat it when the storm hits. Feelings are not facts. Pause, track, choose. That's how you stop fear from driving. That's how you lead yourself. That's how you stay on course, no matter how you feel in the moment. Don't let old emotions control your new decisions. Don't let mental noise drown out your purpose. Stay aware, stay steady, stay sharp. You don't need to be emotionless. You just need to stop being led by emotions that are already out of date. Number 11. Sharpen yourself through resistance, not praise. Think about a sword, a real one. Not the kind you hang on a wall, but the kind forged for battle. It's not made in silence. It's made in heat. It's shaped by fire. And most of all, it's tested by pressure, by impact, by resistance. Now think about yourself. You want to grow. You want to get better. You want to become stronger, clearer, sharper. But how do you expect that to happen if you avoid the things that challenge you? If you run from criticism, hide from difficulty, and only do what feels good? The Stoics had a way of seeing life. They believed you only become who you're meant to be when you're tested, truly tested, not praised, not protected, tested. This is the sword test. And here's how it works. Every obstacle you face, every time someone doubts you, every moment that doesn't go your way, that's not proof that you're failing. That's proof you're in training. That's life sharpening you. You don't become resilient by reading about resilience. You become resilient by needing it. You don't develop patience by sitting in peace. You develop it when things go wrong, when plans fall apart, when people push you. That's the test. Most people want to be unshakable, but only as long as nothing shakes them. But you are different. You don't avoid the fire. You step into it. You understand that pressure doesn't break you. It shows you where you need to be stronger. And every time you come out the other side, you're not the same. You're sharper. You're steadier. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. The impediment to action advances action." He wasn't being poetic. He was telling himself how to survive, how to lead, how to stay sane in chaos. He was reminding himself that the hard stuff, the disappointment, the failure, the resistance, is not the enemy. It's the forge. You must learn to see it the same way. When you're criticized, good. That's your chance to build self-control. When your work flops, good. That's your chance to build humility. When nothing goes as planned, good. That's your chance to become flexible, creative, patient. Every time life gets hard, you're being given a blade, and the way you respond determines whether that blade stays dull or becomes a weapon of discipline, courage, and clarity. So stop wishing things were easier. Stop needing applause. Stop chasing comfort. Test yourself. Lean into the moments that push back. That's where the growth is. Not in being admired, in being refined. A sword is made to cut, but only if it's strong enough to take the hammer first. You are no different, so the next time you feel resistance, frustration, challenge, don't ask, Why is this happening to me? Ask, what part of me is being sharpened right now? That shift changes everything, because now you're not just enduring pain, you're using it. You're not just surviving tests, you're passing them with awareness, with purpose, with strength. And one day, when someone asks how you became so clear, so steady, so sharp, you'll smile and say, I passed the sword test. Number 12. Know what truly matters and cut the rest. Why are you really afraid to fail? Is it the failure itself, or what you think it says about you? Is it the result, or the imagined shame, the judgment, the fear that maybe, just maybe, you're not enough? Here's the truth. Fear of failure often means your values are out of order. You've built your life on the wrong priorities. You've placed image above growth, comfort above purpose, praise above effort. And the worst part? You probably didn't even notice it. That's why you need to do a value pyramid audit. The Stoics believe that the foundation of your life, what you really value, determines how you handle pressure, fear, failure, and success. If your pyramid is built upside down, with shallow things at the top and the deep stuff buried at the bottom, it will collapse the moment life gets hard. So take a hard look at your pyramid. At the bottom should be discipline, integrity, effort, courage, wisdom, unshakable values. But if at the bottom you've got status, fame, validation, likes, money, comfort, then failure will destroy you because you've built your identity on things you don't control. Seneca said, "He is a great man who uses earthenware dishes as if they were silver, and silver as if it were earthenware." What does that mean? It means don't place more value on things than they deserve. Don't worship what is temporary. Don't fear losing what's shallow. Audit your values ruthlessly. Ask yourself, if I lost everything visible, would I still be someone I respect? If no one clapped, would I still show up? If I failed publicly, would I still stand tall knowing I lived with principle? If the answer is no, it's time to rebuild. A strong value pyramid puts virtue first. It says, I value doing the right thing over looking good. I value effort over results. I value showing up over showing off. I value growth, even if it's messy, slow, and silent. This mindset makes you fearless, because when you value the right things, failure loses its power. You didn't get the promotion? Fine, you gave your best. You launched something and no one noticed? Fine, you learned. You tried, fell short, and people laughed? Fine, you stayed true to yourself. That's what matters. That's what lasts. So, do the audit. Write your values down. Rank them. Be honest. What do you claim to care about? What do your actions show you really care about? And if they don't match, fix it. Flip the pyramid. Build on the solid ground. Every time fear rises, it's a test of values. Do you value peace or approval? Do you value mastery or attention? Do you value being useful or being liked? Only one set makes you unshakable. So, here's your new daily question. What do I truly value, and is that showing up in how I live? Ask it often. Ask it when you succeed. Ask it when you fail. Because when your pyramid is solid, failure won't break you. It'll build you. And that's the Stoic way. Number 13. Break the story that's been holding you back. You've failed before. You've hesitated. You've quit. You've backed away from opportunities. And now a quiet story follows you wherever you go. A voice in your head says, "You always do this. You're not the type to finish." Remember the last time? That voice, that story, isn't just memory. It's precedent, a pattern your mind has accepted as truth. And every time you try to grow, to act, to change, it drags that precedent into the present and holds you back. But the Stoics had an answer for this. They believed that you are not chained to your past. They believed that today is a new battle, and you are not the same soldier. They believed that identity is not built on what you were, but on what you choose to do now. This is precedent dismantling, the act of breaking the old narrative, destroying the mental chain that says your past failures define your future. It's not about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about refusing to live under its shadow. Just because you gave up once doesn't mean you're a quitter. Just because you panicked last time doesn't mean you're weak. Just because you failed before doesn't mean you will again. That was then. This is now. And the only thing keeping the old story alive is you repeating it. You're not here to relive your past. You're here to break through it. Seneca said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." He didn't say the end defines you. He said it frees you. The past ends. The moment changes. And you, if you choose, can be someone different in this moment. But you must act. You must dismantle the old script, not just with words, but with action. Don't wait until you feel like a new person. Start acting like one. Don't wait until you forget the past. Start writing a new one. The mind loves patterns. It finds comfort in what is familiar, even if that familiar thing is failure. But you can disrupt the pattern. You can interrupt the mental loop that says, "This is just how I am," and replace it with, "This is who I'm becoming." It starts with a decision. When you're about to give in, remind yourself, "That was the old me. I'm not doing that anymore." When you hear the voice of doubt, answer back, "That story ends here." When fear says, "You've failed before," respond, "And I'm still standing, which means I can try again." This is what Stoics did. They examined their own thoughts. They questioned the patterns. They didn't just live by instinct. They lived by intention. So whatever you've done before, let it go. Not with denial, but with clarity. You're not bound by your past unless you choose to be. You don't have to earn a new identity. You claim it. You practice it. You repeat it until the old story fades. Precedent is a trap until you turn it into proof. Proof that you're still here. Proof that you're ready to rewrite everything. So ask yourself, what old story do I need to break today? Then take one action that proves that story wrong. That's how you dismantle precedent. That's how you take back control. That's how you become someone new, one decision at a time. Number 14. See your life with new eyes before it's too late. We move through life like it's guaranteed, like tomorrow is promised, like health, freedom, time and strength are permanent. We complain about the little things. We stress over what we don't have. We fear failing because we forget how lucky we are to even try. The Stoics had a way to snap out of that blindness. It's called the cripple's eye perspective. And it means this: see your life the way someone with far less would see it. See your body, your breath, your chance as blessings, not burdens, because one day they won't be here. Imagine this: you can walk, but imagine how precious every step would be if you'd once been unable. You can speak, but imagine how carefully you'd choose your words if you once couldn't. You can fail, but imagine how grateful you'd be to even try if you were stuck in a body that never let you move. This is not guilt. It's clarity. It's remembering what most people forget until it's gone. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He wasn't trying to scare himself. He was reminding himself every day of the miracle of now, the miracle of capacity, the miracle of choice. Because once you see your life through the eyes of someone who can't, you stop wasting it with fear. You're afraid to fail. Someone out there is praying for the chance to try and fail, because they can't even begin. You're scared of judgment? Someone out there has no voice, no audience, no platform, and they still find peace. You want to quit because it's hard. Someone would trade their hardest day for your worst one, just to stand, just to speak, just to act. So pause, look again, strip away the noise. What you have is rare, precious, borrowed, and you honor it by using it fully. This is the cripple's eye perspective, to see life the way the suffering would see it, so you don't take it for granted. It's not about pity, it's about presence. Look at your hands. You can build, you can create. Look at your legs. You can move, you can climb. Look at your mind. You can learn, you can grow, you can decide. So, what are you doing with that gift? Are you using your strength to run toward your purpose, or are you letting fear talk you into hiding? Are you using your time to create something meaningful, or are you wasting it worrying about opinions that will fade in hours? Imagine for one moment that it was all taken away, the voice, the motion, the freedom, the time. What would you wish you had done when you still could? That's what you must do now. This perspective is your weapon against fear, because fear loses power when gratitude rises. Because you don't fear failing when you're too focused on the gift of trying. So when you're scared, pause. Look at your life through the cripple's eye and say, "I still can, so I will." That's how you move forward, with perspective, with urgency, with deep, grounded strength, because you've seen what most people ignore. And now, there's no going back. Number 15. Break fear apart until nothing is left. Fear feels big. It feels solid, unshakable, like a wall you can't climb over. But what if that wall isn't real? What if fear only pretends to be strong because you never stop to question it? That's what the Stoics understood. They knew that most fear isn't based on truth. It's based on assumption, on vague emotional predictions about the future. And because we never slow down to inspect those predictions, fear controls us. It wins by default. That's why you need a method, a mental technique to destroy fear at its roots. This is called the logical collapse sequence. Here's how it works. You take the fear in your mind and you break it down, piece by piece, until it falls apart under the weight of reason. It starts with a question. What am I really afraid of? Say it clearly. Define it. Most people don't. They keep fear blurry because a blurry fear feels overwhelming. But when you name it, when you drag it into the light, something changes. It shrinks. Then ask, if that happens, then what? Go deeper. If I fail the presentation, then what? I'll be embarrassed. Okay. Then what? People might talk. Then what? They'll forget in a week. Exactly. You keep going, step by step, layer by layer, until the emotion collapses under logic. You'll find that most of your fear leads nowhere. Most of your worst-case scenarios end in discomfort, not destruction. Most of your imagined disasters are just that, imagined. Epictetus said, It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. This is what he meant. Fear is not the event. Fear is the story you tell yourself about the event. So change the story, interrogate the story, pull it apart like a scientist. Ask, is this likely? Is this permanent? Has this happened before, and did I survive? Is this fear helping me, or just freezing me? Fear wants you to believe it's final, that if you fail, everything ends. But logic reminds you, most of the time, failure is just a step, just data, just part of the process. The logical collapse. Sequence isn't about being fearless. It's about being honest. It's about stripping away the drama and getting to the truth. Because once you realize your fear is built on shaky ground, you stop being controlled by it. You don't need to feel brave. You just need to see clearly, and then move. That's the Stoic way. To stand in front of fear, not with blind confidence, but with clarity, calm, reason, strength that comes not from hype, but from honesty. So the next time fear grabs your chest, don't run, don't react. Pause, breathe, ask the first question. What am I really afraid of? Then walk the sequence, pull it apart. Keep asking until the fear crumbles, until it loses its mystery, until it loses its power. And then, step forward, quiet, controlled, clear. Because when fear collapses, courage takes its place. Number 16. Stop letting a feeling make your decisions. You messed up, you failed, you weren't ready, you slipped, fell, or got rejected. And now comes the worst part. Not the failure itself, but the shame that follows. That burning feeling in your chest, the voice in your head saying, "You're not good enough." But here's the truth. That voice isn't wise. It's not a teacher. It's not even accurate. It's just bad logic. The Stoics knew something most people forget. Shame is not proof. It's not truth. It's just an emotion, a signal. And sometimes that signal is completely wrong, misfired, out of date, driven by ego or by other people's expectations. That's why you must learn to see shame not as a sign to stop, but as a sign to question. Because here's what shame really says. I failed, therefore I am a failure. I was embarrassed, therefore I am embarrassing. I was judged, therefore I deserve that judgment. See the pattern? It's broken logic. It takes one moment and turns it into a full identity. And that lie is what holds you back, not the failure, the lie about what it means. You must break that link. You failed? So what? That's data. That's experience. That's part of learning. You looked foolish? Welcome to growth. Everyone who tries looks foolish at some point. You felt judged? Good. That means you were visible. You showed up. Marcus Aurelius never said, "Don't feel shame." He said, "If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it." In other words, if you're living in line with your values, don't let emotion override reason. So ask yourself, is this shame based on truth or just fear? Am I letting a feeling erase the effort I've made? Would I speak to someone I love the way I speak to myself right now? If the answer is no, then stop, step back, see the logic. Shame often exaggerates. It distorts. It turns a stumble into a sentence. And that is not Stoic thinking. The Stoics used reason to clean up the mind, and you can too. Here's how. Catch the shame. Name it. Feel it. Don't run from it. Challenge it. Ask, what did I actually do wrong? Not, what do I feel? What happened? Correct it. Make amends if needed. Learn. Adjust. That's it. That's all you owe. You don't owe shame your future. You don't owe it your voice. You don't owe it your potential. You only owe yourself one thing: clarity. When you remove shame from the driver's seat, you get your momentum back. You stop fearing mistakes. You start welcoming growth. You stop avoiding hard things just to protect your pride. You stop choosing silence over progress. And most of all, you start leading yourself with logic, not emotion. So the next time shame rises up after a failure, do this. Don't sink, don't hide, don't replay it 100 times in your head. Just say, "That was a mistake, but I'm not a mistake. Let's fix it. Let's move." Because that's what Stoics do. They don't let bad logic run their life. They question the feeling. They challenge the story. They move forward with reason, not regret. And so will you. Number 17. Expect injustice and stay unshaken. Life isn't fair. You know that. You've felt it. You've done the work and still got ignored. You've followed the rules and still got punished. You've watched others cut corners and get rewarded while you stayed honest and were overlooked. And in those moments, something inside you tightens. You think, why does it have to be this way? What's the point of doing it right if it doesn't pay off? But here's the truth. The Stoics knew well. Unfairness is not the exception. It's the baseline. It's the default setting of the world. The sooner you accept that, the less power it has over you. This is what unfairness baseline means: building a mindset where you no longer react with shock when life doesn't go your way. You expect the chaos, you expect the bias, you expect the system to fail, people to betray, outcomes to fall apart. And you move forward anyway, because the moment you expect fairness, you give life the power to disappoint you. The Stoics didn't cry out when things went wrong. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, was betrayed, opposed, and surrounded by power-hungry liars. And still he said, "You can decide not to be harmed, and you won't be." Injustice didn't shake him because he didn't expect the world to be just. He expected himself to stay just, no matter what. That's the shift. You stop measuring your peace by how fair things are. You start measuring your strength by how you respond when they're not. This doesn't mean you give up. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop needing the world to be perfect before you take action. Someone got promoted who didn't deserve it? Keep building your skill. Someone lied about you? Stay in your integrity. Someone crossed a line and faced no consequences? Don't let it turn you bitter. Why? Because your character is not controlled by the scoreboard. Your discipline is not tied to whether life is behaving. Your principles do not disappear because the world forgets to reward them. Most people give up when things feel unfair. They get stuck in resentment. They start to believe that honor, effort, and discipline are useless, and in that moment, they lose. Not because of the injustice, but because they let it change them. But you hold the line. You return to your baseline. Of course it's unfair, and still, I move forward. You train your mind to stay calm when others are outraged. You train your emotions to stay cool when the system fails. You train your focus to stay sharp, even when the rewards go to the wrong people. Because this is what Stoicism is, not detachment from life, but invincibility in the face of it. A refusal to give your peace away just because life didn't go your way. And the more you train this, the stronger you get. Injustice loses its grip. Disappointment loses its sting. You become harder to shake, harder to offend, harder to slow down. So from this day on, lower your expectations of the world and raise your expectations of yourself. Expect resistance. Expect setbacks. Expect unfairness. But don't let any of it stop you. That's the unfairness baseline, and it makes you unstoppable. Number 18. Stop aiming your worth at the wrong things. Every day, your ego is aiming at something. A goal, a title, a reaction, a win. It wants to feel important, validated, seen. And if you're not careful, it will quietly take control of your life, steering you toward things that look good on the outside but leave you empty on the inside. The Stoics had a simple fix for this. Rotate the target. Move your focus from what feeds your ego to what feeds your character. That's ego-target rotation. Because when your ego is aiming at the wrong target, fear of failure becomes unbearable. Why? Because the cost feels personal. It's not just, I failed at something. It becomes, I am a failure. You've tied your worth to the outcome, and now you're terrified to lose. But you can break that cycle. Start by asking, what am I aiming for today? Praise, attention, status, followers, the win, or mastery, growth, discipline, service, truth? One path makes you fragile, the other makes you fearless. Seneca warned about this. He said, "Show me someone who isn't a slave. One is a slave to money, another to ambition, another to fear." What he meant was simple. If your self-worth is tied to external targets, you're not free. You're not in control. You're reacting, always chasing approval, always fearing rejection. So rotate the target. Instead of aiming for being right, aim for being honest. Instead of aiming for applause, aim for effort. Instead of chasing attention, aim for consistency. Instead of proving something to others, aim to prove something to yourself. Because when your ego aims at the wrong things, failure becomes shame. But when it's aimed at the right things, failure becomes feedback. It becomes part of the process, something to use, not something to run from. This is not about pretending the ego doesn't exist. It does. It always will. But you don't have to destroy it. You just have to retrain it. Show your ego a better target. Instead of trying to be impressive, be useful. Instead of wanting to be liked, be principled. Instead of chasing fast wins, build something that lasts. Every morning, check your aim. Ask, is what I'm chasing today making me stronger or just stroking my pride? If I fail at this, will I be proud of the effort anyway? Would I still do this if nobody noticed? If the answer is yes, you're aiming at the right thing. This rotation doesn't just protect you from fear, it unlocks your best work. Because now you're not working to be seen, you're working to get better. You're not afraid to fall because your worth isn't on the line, your character is. And that's something you can control. Let your ego want things that are under your power. Let it crave growth. Let it chase truth. Let it be proud of progress, not perfection. So next time fear hits and your ego starts panicking about how you'll look, what they'll say, or what you might lose, pause and rotate the target. Say, I'm not here to win approval. I'm here to win my own respect. And then act like it. That's the Stoic path. That's real strength. And the ego? It'll thank you later. Number 19. Catch the small choices shaping your life. Big failures don't usually come from one big mistake. They come from hundreds of small decisions made without thought. A skipped workout here, a delayed task there, a quiet excuse you whisper to yourself. It doesn't feel like much in the moment, but over time it builds. It becomes who you are. The Stoics taught that self-mastery isn't found in speeches or grand gestures. It's found in the little things, The tiny actions, the moments you think no one is watching, the seconds between impulse and response. That's where your character is made. That's why you must learn to run a micro-decision audit. It's simple, but powerful. Throughout the day, start paying attention to the tiny decisions you usually ignore, the ones you make on autopilot, the ones that feel harmless, because those are the ones shaping your path. Do you hit snooze, or do you get up with purpose? Do you check your phone, or do you take a moment to breathe and think? Do you say, "I'll do it later," or do you act now? Each of these choices is small, but none of them are neutral. Every decision pushes you forward or holds you back. And most fear of failure doesn't come from huge risks. It comes from losing trust in yourself, from knowing deep down that your daily habits are not aligned with the life you want. That's why the audit matters. It brings awareness. It brings control. You stop living passively and you start making intentional moves. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly, "If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it." Simple, direct, immediate. He didn't wait until the end of the year to reflect. He watched himself in real time. You must do the same. Start asking, what am I choosing right now, and is it serving me? When you open the fridge, when you scroll on your phone, when you speak, when you choose silence, when you walk away, when you stay. Run the audit, not to shame yourself, not to be perfect, but to regain clarity, because every small choice is a vote, a signal, a direction. You don't rise or fall by accident, you drift there, one quiet compromise at a time. The audit helps you interrupt the drift, and the more you practice it, the sharper your awareness becomes. You catch yourself in the act, you adjust, you move, and soon you begin to trust yourself again. Not because you're flawless, but because you are paying attention. That's the secret. Fear fades when action aligns with intention. Doubt fades when small choices are made with clarity. So today, don't wait for a breakdown to wake up. Don't wait for a big failure to reset. Watch your micro-decisions. Audit the quiet choices. And shape your life, one deliberate moment at a time. Number 20. Picture the fall so you can rise above it. You're afraid to fail. Everyone is. But the problem isn't failure itself. It's the way you avoid thinking about it. You try to block it out. You tell yourself it won't happen. You push it down and pretend you're safe. But that's exactly what gives fear its power. The Stoics had a better way. They didn't ignore fear. They studied it. They looked it in the eye. They visualized the fall before it came, so that when challenges arrived, they were already prepared. This is what flash failure visuals are for. It's a simple technique. You stop, and you intentionally imagine the worst-case scenario. Not to panic, not to scare yourself, but to take back control, to see the failure clearly, so you can respond with clarity, not fear. Let's say you're about to take a risk, launch something, speak up, apply, show up, and the fear hits you. What if this all goes wrong? Instead of fighting that thought, flash it. Let it play out. Visualize the worst, the mistake, the embarrassment, the silence, the judgment. Then ask, and then what? You bomb the speech. People forget in 2 days. You get rejected. You learn something new. You fail publicly. You realize you're still breathing. You see the fall and survive it. In your mind first, then in real life, if it happens. This is how you train yourself to stop overreacting, to stop freezing, to stop letting the unknown drive you into hesitation. Because once you've imagined the fall, the fear loses its mystery. It loses its edge. Marcus Aurelius did this constantly. He reminded himself that he could be betrayed, injured, misunderstood, even killed, and yet he ruled with calm. Why? Because nothing could surprise him. He had already seen it, and he had already accepted it. When you run from failure, you become its prisoner. But when you visualize it, briefly, intentionally, and with control, you become its master. This is not pessimism, this is preparation. Don't dwell on disaster, don't obsess, just flash it. Quick, clear, honest, then focus. If this happened, could I handle it? Yes. Would it be ideal? No. Would it break me? Also no. And with that, you return to the present. Steady. You move forward, not because you're guaranteed success, but because you've already made peace with the worst. Fear hates clarity. That's why it hides in vague thoughts, in shadows, in silence. But when you turn the light on, it shrinks, it collapses, and you stand tall in the space where fear used to live. So before your next big move, stop for 1 minute. Picture the fall, flash the failure, accept it, own it, then act. Because the ones who win are not fearless. They are prepared. They have already failed in their minds and come back stronger. That's what flash failure visuals give you. A mind that's ready, a heart that's calm, a step that no longer shakes. Number 21. Turn every loss into proof of progress. Failure hurts. There's no pretending it doesn't. It stings. It shakes your confidence. It makes you question everything, your talent, your timing, your worth. But what if the problem isn't the failure itself? What if the real problem is how you see it? The Stoics didn't flinch at failure. They expected it, respected it, even used it. Because to them, failure wasn't the end of the road. It was a sign that you were on the road, that you were trying, moving, growing. That's the idea behind failure token collection. You treat every failure, every rejection, every stumble, every no, like a token, a marker, a badge of effort. And the more tokens you collect, the more evidence you have that you're in motion, that you're doing the hard thing, that you're building courage muscle by muscle. Most people run from failure. You do the opposite. You hunt it down, not recklessly, but bravely. Because each failure is proof that you showed up, that you dared, that you didn't stay safe and silent and still. Think about it. A person who's never failed is a person who's never truly tried, never pushed their edge, never risked anything real. But you're building something, and building always involves falling. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Every failure is that labor. Every mistake is mental training. If you collect those tokens instead of avoiding them, you turn what most people fear into fuel. This mindset is powerful because once you start seeing failure as something you're supposed to collect, not avoid, you stop hesitating. You stop freezing. You stop letting fear talk you out of action. You flip the goal. Instead of asking, "How do I avoid failure?" you ask, "How many failure tokens can I earn this month?" Apply for the job you think you're not qualified for. Pitch the idea you're scared to share. Try the thing you've been avoiding because you might look stupid. And when it doesn't work, smile. One more token. Each one is proof you're becoming who you need to be. This doesn't mean you lower your standards. It means you raise your tolerance for discomfort, for setbacks, for doing what matters, even when it might not go perfectly. Marcus Aurelius faced losses, defeats, betrayals, and never once saw those as reasons to stop. Why? because he understood that his job wasn't to control the outcome. His job was to do the work, to act in alignment with principle, and to accept whatever came with clarity and courage. So that's your job too. Start keeping score, not of wins, but of attempts, not of applause, but of bravery. Make a list, fill a jar, use a journal, track your tokens, each one a scar that says, I showed up, I stayed in the arena, I moved forward even when it hurt. And here's the irony. The more failure tokens you collect, the more success will eventually show up, because most people never last long enough to see it. They run, you stay, they avoid, you embrace. They fear failure. You turn it into strength. So start your collection, wear it with pride, and keep going. Number 22. Become who you aim to be, one page at a time. You say you want to grow. You say you want to be more focused, more disciplined, more fearless. But how often do you pause and ask yourself what that version of you even looks like? Most people don't. They chase change blindly, without direction. They hope they'll just wake up one day as someone new. But change doesn't happen by accident. It happens through awareness, through clarity, through repetition. That's where future self-journaling comes in. This is a daily Stoic practice, a tool, not a trend. Simple but powerful. You sit down, you imagine the person you want to become, and you write, not as who you are now, but as if you're already that person. You don't wait to feel like them. You think like them, act like them, speak like them, on the page, until it becomes part of you. You want to be disciplined? Then journal as someone who already is. You want to be fearless? Then write as someone who faces fear and moves anyway. You want to stop breaking promises to yourself? Then write like someone who keeps them, every time. This is not fantasy. This is mental rehearsal, Stoic training. Marcus Aurelius did it. His entire journal, Meditations, was a future self-letter, a daily check-in, not to impress, not to publish, but to remind himself of who he was becoming. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And each day, through writing, he practiced that being. You must do the same. Sit down with your journal and ask, if I were already who I want to become, how would I think today? What would I do when I face resistance? How would I speak to myself when I fail? What choices would my future self make right now? And then write it. Don't wait until you feel ready. Write until you become ready. Write the mindset. Write the values. Write the habits. And repeat it daily, because repetition is what trains the mind. Not just action, but intention. And journaling is where intention becomes real, where fear gets named, where excuses get exposed, where identity gets reshaped. The world tells you to hustle harder. The Stoics tell you, reflect deeper. They knew that change doesn't come from trying harder to be someone new. It comes from seeing yourself clearly and choosing again and again to step into that image. So, don't leave it to chance. Don't wait until life forces you to grow. Grab a pen, get still, and build the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. One word, one thought, one page at a time. That's the power of future self-journaling. Not to dream, to train. Number 23. Build silence before the storm. The world wakes up loud. Notifications, headlines, emails, deadlines. Everyone demanding your time, your attention, your energy. And before you've even had your first thought of the day, the world is already thinking for you, already pulling you into its chaos. That's why the Stoics began their day in silence. Before Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, he ruled his mind. He carved out time each morning, not to react, but to reflect, to sit alone with his thoughts, to remind himself of what mattered, to prepare his character, his focus, his resilience, for whatever came next. This was his ritual, his obscure stoa, his quiet place, not a location, but a mental space, a pocket of stillness before the noise, and you need the same. Before the world floods in, you need to ground yourself. You need a space where no one is asking for anything, where your mind belongs only to you, where you can reconnect with your values, not your inbox. This is the morning obscure stoa, a short, deliberate pause at the beginning of the day, not scrolling, not reacting, just being, just remembering. You don't need hours, you need intention. Wake up and sit with yourself. Breathe, reflect, write. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Don't answer out loud. Let the answer shape how you stand, how you speak, how you choose. Most people skip this. They let the day start them. They start running before they even know where they're going. But you begin with stillness. You begin like a warrior sharpening their blade before battle. And here's the truth. Silence is not weakness. It is preparation. Reflection is not delay. It is strategy. Stillness is not escape. It is a decision to be anchored before the storm arrives. Epictetus reminded his students that every day would test their discipline, their judgment, their principles, so they must prepare their minds first. You cannot control the world, but you can control the state in which you meet it. So protect your mornings. Guard that window of time like your life depends on it, because it does. How you begin determines how you respond to everything else. If you start the day clear, centered, calm, you move through the chaos with purpose. If you start in noise, you'll be ruled by it. The morning obscure stoa is not a luxury. It's your armor, your compass, your edge. So tomorrow morning, don't wake up and reach for your phone. Reach for your thoughts. Reach for your principles. And stand in silence, even for 5 minutes, like a stoic under the morning sky, grounded, aware, and ready. That stillness will echo through your entire day. That silence is your strength. Number 24. See the path without the panic. When something uncertain is coming, an exam, a job interview, a business risk, a hard conversation, what does your mind do? It spins. It imagines the worst. It plays out scenes that haven't happened yet. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts race. And just like that, fear takes control. Why? Because you're forecasting your future through emotion, not logic. The Stoics warned against this. They knew that emotions are powerful, but also unreliable. If you let fear guide your thinking, you'll see danger everywhere. You'll overestimate the threat and underestimate yourself. You'll freeze before you even start. That's why you need emotionless forecasting. It's the practice of seeing your future, not with anxiety, not with hope, but with calm, clear eyes. No fear, no fantasy, just facts. Imagine the situation you're worried about. Now strip away the feelings, strip away the panic, strip away the stories your mind is adding on top. Now ask, what do I actually know? That's the starting point. You stop guessing, you stop reacting, you break the situation into parts. What can go wrong? What's within your control? What have you done to prepare? What will you do if things don't go perfectly? You walk through it, not to feel better, but to see better. Marcus Aurelius faced battles, betrayals, death. But he didn't forecast emotionally. He looked at everything as it was, no better, no worse. Objective judgment now, at this very moment, he wrote. That was his rule. Not the story, not the feeling, just what's in front of him. You can do the same. When you feel overwhelmed about the future, don't let emotions write the forecast. Pause, get quiet, then walk it through, step by step. You're about to launch something? Good. What are the real risks? What's the backup plan? You have a difficult decision to make? Slow down. What are the actual outcomes? Not imagined disasters, but real possibilities. This isn't cold, it's clear. Fear says, if I fail, it's over. Emotionless forecasting says, if I fail, I'll learn, then I'll try again. Fear says, they'll judge me. Emotionless forecasting says, some might, but most won't even remember, and it doesn't change who I am. Fear says, this will ruin everything. Emotionless forecasting says, it's one event, one moment. It won't define my life unless I let it. You're not shutting off emotion. You're using reason to lead it. This gives you power. It gives you space. It lets you see the storm clearly and walk into it with steady hands. So the next time your mind rushes ahead, painting worst-case scenarios and drowning you in fear, stop, breathe, strip the emotion away, and ask, what's really happening here? That's emotionless forecasting. That's Stoic vision. It's not about hoping things go well. It's about being prepared, even if they don't. And when you forecast your future with clarity instead of fear, you don't just see better, you live better. Number 25. Measure progress by bravery, not outcome. You want to grow. You want to stop being ruled by fear. You want to become bold, decisive, unshakable. But here's the problem. Most people measure their day by what they achieved, by how smooth everything went, by how many things they checked off a list. But the Stoics knew, true progress isn't about comfort, it's about courage. That's why you need a new scoreboard, a new metric, a new system for measuring growth, not by results, but by bravery. This is the courage point system. It works like this. Every time you do something that makes your heart race a little, something that stretches you, challenges you, pushes you beyond your usual line, you earn a point. You speak when it would be easier to stay quiet. Point. You say no when you usually say yes. Point. You post the thing, you ask the question, you take the risk. Point, point, point. It doesn't matter how it turns out. That's not the score you're tracking. You're not trying to look perfect. You're trying to get stronger. The courage point system shifts the focus. It teaches your brain that bravery is the win, that the act of facing fear, no matter how small, is progress in itself. Most people wait for results to feel proud. You don't. You collect courage. Marcus Aurelius never said, "Did I succeed today?" He asked, "Did I do what was right? Did I live with discipline and truth?" Those were his points. That was his measure. You must think the same way, because results lie. You can do everything right and still lose. You can play it safe and still get hurt. But courage? Courage never cheats you. Courage always builds something inside you, even if no one sees it, even if it doesn't work out. Start tracking it. Each day, aim for a number. 3 courage points. 5, 10. Make it a game. Make it a lifestyle. And don't wait for the big things. The small fears count too. Send the email. Speak the truth. Face the discomfort. Point, point, point. Soon your life starts to shift, not because it got easier, but because you got bolder. The courage point system builds real confidence, the kind that isn't based on achievement, but on action, the kind that stays with you even when the outcomes don't go your way. And the more points you earn, the more you begin to trust yourself, not because you always win, but because you always try. You always face the edge. Fear shrinks when you count courage. So stop keeping score by money, applause, or likes. Keep score by moments you were brave. That's the only number that matters. And every time you face something hard, something scary, something uncertain, smile to yourself and say, "One more point." Then do the thing. Number 26. Love the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. It's easy to get frustrated with life. Things don't go your way. People don't act how you expect. The world seems unfair, chaotic, unpredictable. You feel like you're constantly swimming against the current, fighting reality, wishing things were different, better, more under your control. But the Stoics had a different approach, a radical one. They didn't just accept reality, they learned to love it. Not just amor fati, the love of fate, but something bigger, amor mundi, the love of the world. That means you don't just make peace with what happens, you actively choose to embrace it, all of it, the pain, the joy, the injustice, the setbacks. You stop seeing the world as something broken that needs to change before you can be happy, and you start seeing it as your teacher, your forge, your path. This is amor mundi activation, the mindset that says, I will not curse the world, I will meet it with love and work with what it gives me. That doesn't mean you agree with everything. It doesn't mean you stop wanting to improve yourself or help others. It means you stop resisting what is. You stop trying to bend reality to your liking and instead train yourself to respond wisely to it. When someone betrays you, you say, "This is part of the world I live in, and I will use it to grow." When a plan fails, you say, "This is part of the path, let me learn from it." When life delivers something painful, you say, "This too belongs, I will not fight it, I will rise through it." Marcus Aurelius faced war, plague, political chaos, and the death of his children. But he never once wrote, "Why me?" Instead, he said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That is amor mundi. He loved the world, not for what it gave him, but for what it gave him the chance to become. You can train this. You can activate it daily. It starts with a pause. When something goes wrong, stop the usual reaction. Don't resist. Don't curse. Don't complain. Just breathe and say, "Good. This too is part of it." Then ask, what can I build with this? Who can I become through this? Amor mundi is not weakness. It's not passive. It's the highest form of strength, because it means nothing can shake your inner peace, not even the world itself. You stop being ruled by frustration. You stop waiting for things to be perfect. You stop seeing life as a test and start seeing it as a partner. This is a shift from war to alignment, from struggle to flow. You become unbreakable, not because life becomes easier, but because you stop demanding that it does. So the next time the world disappoints you, remember this. It was never meant to please you. It was meant to shape you. And if you choose love for all of it, you become someone no failure, no injustice, no twist of fate can defeat. Activate amor mundi. and walk forward, not in resistance, but in powerful, peaceful acceptance. This is your world. Love it, live it, use it. Number 27. Let your actions speak louder than your promises. You've said it before. This time, I'm serious. Starting tomorrow, I'm all in. No more excuses. And maybe you meant it. Maybe you felt it in your bones when you said it. But then, when the moment came to follow through, you broke the promise. Not always loud, sometimes just a quiet, not today. A subtle compromise. A skipped step no one noticed. And you told yourself, it's fine. I'll start again tomorrow. But here's the truth. The more you break those private promises, the less you trust yourself. The more you talk without action, the more you teach your mind that your words don't mean much. The Stoics didn't care for declarations. They didn't chase applause. They didn't post their discipline. They lived it. Not for attention, for truth. This is silent accountability. The habit of holding yourself to a standard when no one's watching, of doing what needs to be done, not because someone is checking, but because you are. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." That means don't announce it. Don't boast about it. Don't talk about the plan. Be the plan. You don't owe the world an explanation. You owe yourself consistency. Stop saying what you're going to do. Show it. Quietly, consistently, relentlessly. You don't need to broadcast your goals. Let your results whisper them back to you. This kind of accountability doesn't look flashy. No big reveal, no applause, just action. Quiet, focused, daily. You do the hard thing when it's boring. You keep the promise when no one's watching. You finish the workout. You make the call. You sit down and write, even when no one will know if you skipped it. And that builds something deep, something unshakable, self-respect. Because when you live with silent accountability, you don't need validation. You don't need permission. You don't need someone clapping for you every time you make the right choice. You know what you did. That's enough. You build integrity from the inside out. And when failure comes, and it will, you won't fall apart, because you'll know you showed up. You'll know you didn't fake it. You'll know your effort wasn't just for show. So from now on, keep your standards high and your mouth quiet. Write the page, make the move, keep the habit. Don't post about it, don't explain it. Let the discipline speak, let the work speak, let your life speak. And when doubt shows up, when fear says you're not really that strong, your actions will answer, "Watch me." Not with noise, with proof. Number 28. Rewrite the story fear wants you to believe. Fear is a storyteller. It always has a narrative ready, and it's fast, so fast you don't even notice the words forming in your mind. One mistake and the voice says, "See, you're not good enough." One failure and it whispers, "You'll never recover." One hard moment and it floods you with images of everything falling apart. That story becomes your reality, unless you stop it. The Stoics knew that most suffering comes not from what happens, but from the story we attach to it. Marcus Aurelius didn't just fight wars outside, he fought the stories inside his own mind. Every day, he sat with his journal and examined his thoughts. And when they didn't serve him, he rewrote them. That's what counter-narrative drafting is. You take the fear-based script your mind automatically gives you, and you write a new one, not blindly positive, not fake, but clear, rational, and grounded in truth. You become the author, not the audience. Here's how it works. The moment you catch a fear narrative playing in your mind, pause. Don't fight it. Don't push it down. Just name it. I'm telling myself that this failure defines me. I'm telling myself that if this doesn't go well, I'll lose everything. I'm telling myself that one mistake means I'm not cut out for this. Then ask, is that really true? What would a calmer, wiser version of you say instead? Write it, speak it, live it. That's the counter-narrative. The fear says, you're too late. You say, I'm just getting started. I've learned more now than ever. The fear says, you're not ready. You say, no one ever is, but I'm willing. That's enough. The fear says, if you fail, everyone will see. You say, if I fail, I'll learn, and I'll keep going. You're not trying to erase the fear, you're disarming it. You're challenging it with reason, with perspective, with your own voice. This is Stoicism in action, not letting thoughts run wild, not letting your mind bully you with outdated scripts, but calmly, consistently rewriting the dialogue in your head. Fear wants to narrate your life, but you get the final edit. Make this a habit. When something goes wrong, draft the better version of the story. When you feel doubt, sit down and write what your future self would say. When the fear grows louder, match it, not with emotion, but with clarity. That's how you take back your mind. Because if you don't write the story, fear will. And its story always ends the same way, with you staying small. But your version? It ends with movement, with progress, with strength. So pick up the pen, draft the truth, and keep rewriting it until it becomes who you are. Number 29. Stop needing approval to keep going. You do something bold. You put yourself out there. You make progress. You take the risk. You step outside your comfort zone. And then you wait. You wait for someone to notice, to clap, to say, well done. And when they don't, you start to question yourself. That's the trap. You've tied your effort to approval. You've built your self-worth on whether or not the world reacts. But the Stoics knew better. They didn't depend on praise because they understood that praise is unstable. It comes and goes. Sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's blind, and sometimes it never shows up at all. This is the power of decentralized praise, removing your need for external validation and anchoring your motivation in something deeper, your values, your growth, your discipline. You stop doing things to be seen. You stop waiting for the world to say you're good enough. You stop handing your confidence to other people's opinions. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote in his journal, not to impress anyone, not to publish a book, but to strengthen himself, alone, quietly. He didn't need applause. He needed alignment. You must learn to do the same. When you work, work from principle. When you speak, speak from clarity. When you build, build because it matters to you. If someone praises you, fine. If they don't, fine. That's not the reason you act. Praise is nice, but it's not necessary. When you need it, you become weak. You start performing instead of living. You start chasing trends instead of truth. You start hesitating every time you think the crowd won't clap. But when you decentralize praise, you become dangerous, in the best way. You do what's right, even if no one agrees. You keep going, even when no one sees. You show up again and again, not for recognition, but because you made a promise to yourself. And that promise means more than approval ever could. Seneca said, "A good character, when established, becomes a guarantee of enduring praise, but to seek it actively is to make yourself dependent. Dependent on mood, on feedback, on others. Break that dependence. Stop refreshing for likes. Stop replaying compliments. Stop letting silence make you feel like you're not enough. You are not here to perform. You are here to grow. So set your standard, hold it, whether the room claps or not. Do the work without the need for witnesses, because the strongest people in the world are the ones who keep moving forward even when no one is watching, and especially when no one is cheering. That's decentralized praise. That's inner freedom. And once you build it, no one can take it from you. Number 30. Quiet the crowd before it speaks. You're about to take a step. Say something real. Try something bold. You feel it rise in you. Courage, direction, clarity. And then, almost instantly, another voice appears. Not your own. A chorus of imagined critics. What will they think? Who does she think she is? What if they laugh? And just like that, you hesitate. You shrink. You stay quiet. This is the power of pre-silenced opinions, the ones that stop you before anyone says a word. The ones you hear in your head, not in the world. The ones you've rehearsed so many times, you don't even realize they're there anymore. But the Stoics saw this trap clearly. They understood that most people don't live their lives. They live in reaction to other people's opinions, or worse, in reaction to the fear of opinions that haven't even been spoken yet. And that's what makes pre-silenced opinions so dangerous. They keep you locked up without ever putting you on trial. They make you feel judged before anyone's even watching. That's why you have to deal with them early, before they take root, before they shut you down. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself daily, "You're going to meet people today who are jealous, rude, arrogant, dishonest. Expect it." Why? Because once you expect the noise, it loses its power. You've already heard it. You've already prepared for it. It can't catch you off guard. You can do the same. Before you act, before you speak, before you step into the arena. Think, what am I afraid they'll say? Name it. Write it down. Say it out loud. Then answer it. They'll say I'm not qualified. Maybe, but I'm still willing to learn. They'll say I failed before. That's true, and I got back up.
They'll think I'm trying too hard. Good, I am trying.
You strip the shame from the thought. You cut the script before it starts. You stop waiting for the crowd to speak, and you speak first. This is not about arrogance. It's about preparation. It's about walking into the fire already knowing what the flame feels like. When you anticipate judgment, you disarm it. When you face the thought directly, you weaken its hold. And when you move forward anyway, you train your mind to trust you, not them. The opinions will come, maybe in whispers, maybe in silence, maybe just in your imagination. But if you've already heard them, already responded, already accepted them, they can't control you. You're free. So make this a daily practice. Before you take any bold step, pause and ask, what opinions am I afraid of hearing? Then pre-silence them, not by fighting, not by hiding, but by hearing them first and choosing to move anyway. That's what Stoics do. They don't wait to be judged. They live in such a way that judgment loses its meaning. So the next time fear tells you they're going to talk, answer back. Maybe, but I've already listened, and I'm still here. Then take the step, unshaken, unapologetic, already free. Number 31. Act like the person you want to become, even in secret. You want to be wiser, stronger, calmer under pressure, more grounded. But too often, you wait until people are watching to try. You wait until it matters, until the stakes are high, until the spotlight is on. And by then, it's too late. You haven't trained. You haven't practiced. You haven't become the person you needed to be when the moment arrived. That's why the Stoics trained in the shadows. They believed you must live the philosophy quietly, every day, especially when no one is watching. Not to look good, not to impress, but to become. This is the mindset of hidden sage role play. You act like the wisest version of yourself, even when no one sees it. You practice restraint in private. You speak with patience, even if the conversation is small. You stay calm in small frustrations, as if the whole world were watching. Not because you're pretending, but because this is how character is built. You don't wait to become the sage. You play the role, and through that role, you become. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. And not just in the public eye, in his journals, in his private thoughts, in the way he carried himself when no one would ever know. That's the test. Can you carry wisdom when there's no reward? Can you live with discipline when there's no audience? Can you walk like the Stoic you admire, even in silence? This is not about faking it. This is about forming it, about creating a mental mirror of the person you aspire to be and acting through that mirror until the gap between image and reality closes. You ask yourself, what would the Stoic do right now? And then you do it. You pause before reacting. You listen without interrupting. You choose simplicity when ego wants attention. You return to the present when your mind drifts to fear or fantasy. You're not waiting for a title. You're earning one, in secret. That's where the transformation happens. People look for mentors, heroes. But the real secret? You become your own sage by playing the role before you feel ready. You step into it now, not later. Not when you're perfect. Now. And every time you play that role, the real version gets closer. You respond with wisdom when anger rises. Point. You walk away from drama without explaining yourself. Point. You take the harder path without needing applause. Point. You are role-playing your future self, and every move makes it more real. No one needs to know. That's the beauty of it. You don't need to tell people who you're becoming. You just need to become it. Quietly, consistently, internally. Over time, something changes. You no longer have to ask, what would the Stoic do? You just do it. Because the role isn't a role anymore. It's who you are. Number 32. Follow the command behind the feeling. There's a voice inside you. It doesn't shout, it doesn't threaten, but it speaks with quiet authority. When you're about to procrastinate, it says, you should do it now. When you're tempted to cut corners, it whispers, you know better. When you're hiding from discomfort, it calls out, this is the moment to lean in. You hear it, but do you obey? That voice is your inner commander, not driven by emotion, not pulled by impulse. It's the part of you that sees clearly, even when everything else feels foggy. The Stoics knew that this voice, the one behind your fear, behind your urges, behind your mood, must become your guide. That's the practice of meta-obedience. It means obeying the deeper command, even when it goes against how you feel. It means doing what's right, not what's easy, not what's popular, not what brings fast comfort. You don't obey your mood, you obey your mission. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being. He was tired, he was tempted, but he didn't listen to the surface. He obeyed the signal underneath. Get up, do your work, honor your principles. You know this voice. you've heard it before. The moment you're about to scroll for an hour, it says, stop. The second you want to blame someone else, it says, take responsibility. Right before you quit, it says, push one more time. But here's the thing. The voice doesn't force you. It invites you, and you have to choose whether or not to obey. Most people don't. They ignore it. They listen to emotion instead. They obey comfort. They obey fear. They obey anger. And slowly, they lose touch with their inner compass. But you can train yourself to listen. You can train yourself to respond, not to the surface feeling, but to the signal beneath it. That's meta-obedience. Discipline, not just in action, but in attention. You ask, what's the command beneath this emotion? When you're afraid, look deeper. The voice says, step forward anyway. When you're angry, pause. The voice says, respond, don't react. When you're tired, listen closer. The voice says, rest later, finish now. It's not about ignoring how you feel. It's about not serving it. It's about listening for something higher, something steady, something true. The more you train this, the faster you'll recognize the voice, the clearer the command becomes, the more powerful your response grows. Because now you're not reacting, you're choosing, you're not flailing, you're aligning, you're not controlled by life, you're guided by principle. This is how Stoics move, calm, grounded, clear. They don't obey moods, they obey meaning. So the next time you feel resistance or fear or anger, don't act right away. Stop, breathe, then ask, what's the deeper command here? And follow that. Obey your higher self, not once, not sometimes, every time. That's meta-obedience. And it's how you become unstoppable. Number 33. Break the illusion and reclaim the process. You've been taught that success is one big moment, a finish line, a title, a viral breakthrough, a number in the bank, and because of that, you chase it like it's a single destination, far away, difficult to reach, and guarded by fear, comparison, and pressure. But the Stoics would shake their heads at that. Because that version of success, it's an illusion. It's vague. It's external, and worst of all, it's paralyzing. When you make success one massive, shiny event, every step you take feels small and meaningless in comparison, and slowly you stop moving altogether. That's why you need to practice deconstructed success. Take the big idea of making it and break it down, smash it into pieces. Turn it from one distant mountain into 100 stones you can walk on every day. Because success isn't one thing, it's many small things, done again and again, with clarity, intention, and patience. It's not the published book. It's the act of writing when you don't feel like it. It's not the million-dollar idea. It's showing up when no one's paying attention. It's not the transformation, it's the daily choice not to quit. Seneca said, well-being is realized by small steps, but it is no small thing. That's the truth. Real success isn't dramatic. It's disciplined. It's made in silence. Made through effort, not applause. So ask yourself, what does success actually look like today? Not 5 years from now, not in fantasy, today. Is it completing a task you've been avoiding? Is it showing up to your routine even when your motivation is gone? Is it telling the truth when lying would be easier? These are real wins, but most people overlook them because they don't feel like success. They're not impressive enough, not flashy enough. But here's the truth. The person who masters the process masters the outcome. And when you break success into manageable, repeatable actions, fear begins to fade. The pressure to get there disappears, because you're already doing it. You're already building it. One decision at a time. You're no longer chasing a moment. You're owning the pattern. The Stoics never waited for victory parades. They found success in self-control, in alignment, in doing what needed to be done, without needing the world to clap for it. You must do the same. So take the vision, the dream, the thing you're aiming for. Now deconstruct it. What's the smallest possible action you can take toward it today? Do it. That's success. Do it again tomorrow. That's momentum. Keep doing it without needing drama, and one day you'll look up and realize you've already become the person you were trying to reach. Because success is not one big move. It's hundreds of quiet ones stacked in your favor. So stop waiting to arrive. Build it, break it down, and walk it daily. That's how you win, with clarity, with discipline, with deconstructed success. Number 34. Learn just as much from those who fell short. When we think of Stoicism, we often picture the greats: Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, calm, wise, unshakable. We hold them up as ideals. And yes, they were powerful thinkers. But here's what most people miss. Even they struggled. Even they failed. Even they didn't always live up to their own principles. And many others, philosophers, kings, soldiers, leaders, claimed to follow Stoicism, yet broke down under pressure, gave in to emotion, chose ego over wisdom, power over principle. They weren't evil, they were human, and that's exactly why they're worth studying. This is the practice of studying failed Stoics, not to judge, but to learn, not to point fingers, but to see where you might be slipping in the same way. Because if you only study the success stories, you get a false idea that Stoicism means perfection, that a Stoic never breaks, never reacts, never fails. But the truth is, Stoicism is about the struggle. It's about the fight to stay grounded in a chaotic world. And part of that fight is looking honestly at those who lost the battle, so you don't repeat their mistakes. Take Seneca, a brilliant philosopher, but also wildly rich, connected to a brutal emperor and accused of moral compromise. Did he live up to everything he taught? Maybe not. But his contradictions teach us something. Knowledge isn't enough. Wisdom must be lived, not just written. Or Marcus Aurelius, deeply reflective, humble on the page. But during his reign, he made questionable decisions. He appointed his son, Commodus, who turned out to be cruel and destructive. Even the most disciplined Stoic couldn't fully escape bias, family loyalty, or flawed judgment. And what about us? We quote Stoic lines, we nod in agreement, but then we snap at a small inconvenience. We scroll instead of act. We react instead of reflect. That's why studying failed Stoics is so important. They remind you, knowing the path is not the same as walking it. They remind you that reading Meditations is not the point. Living it is. You need to see where others fell, not to feel superior, but to stay alert. Where did they give in to comfort? Where did they choose ego over clarity? Where did they preach virtue but protect status? Because those same cracks might be forming in you. You say you want to be calm, but do you practice it when people criticize you? You say you value self-control, but how often do you trade it for quick pleasure? You say you're guided by reason, but how often does emotion make your choices? The failed Stoics show us where the theory broke down, where pressure exposed the truth. And that's the gift. They make the philosophy real. They make the stakes clear. This isn't about worshipping icons, it's about learning from the whole story, success and failure, strength and weakness. And most of all, it's about staying humble. Because the moment you think, I've got this Stoicism thing figured out, you've already lost the edge. The goal isn't to become perfect. The goal is to become aware, to be honest, to notice when you're drifting, to pull yourself back. So yes, study the wise words, but also study the weak moments. Study the Stoics who fell short, and let their mistakes sharpen your discipline. Let their flaws humble your ego. Let their humanity remind you, the real test is how you live under pressure. That's where the philosophy either stands or breaks. Number 35. Rise above the limits you've been taught to accept. You've been told you're only human, that it's natural to give in, that it's normal to break down, that you're wired to be emotional, to be reactive, to seek comfort. And slowly, whether you noticed or not, you started building your identity around that idea, around weakness disguised as self-acceptance, around limits disguised as realism. But the Stoics didn't think that way. They believed you could rise above. They believed that even though you're born into a human body, with impulses, urges, fears, you weren't meant to be ruled by them. You were meant to transcend them. This is what it means to transcend the human frame. Not to become superhuman, but to stop letting the lower nature define your choices. You feel anger, yes, but you don't act in anger. You feel fear, yes, but you don't let it decide for you. You feel the pull of distraction, ego, envy, but you stay centered, still, disciplined. Why? Because you are not just flesh and emotion. You have reason, you have principles, you have choice. Epictetus said, "You are a little soul carrying around a corpse." That wasn't morbid. It was a reminder. Don't live like you are only the body. Don't let urges be your master. Use your higher self, the part of you that can observe, that can step back, that can choose. Because here's the truth. You don't need to obey every emotion that enters your chest. You don't need to follow every impulse your brain throws at you. You don't need to be a slave to mood, fear, hunger, laziness, or desire. You can pause, breathe, rise above. You can override what feels automatic. This isn't about pretending you're a god. It's about refusing to live as an animal. You were given a mind for a reason. So when the world is loud, transcend. When your emotions boil, transcend. When your excuses scream, transcend. Not by force, not by suppressing, but by observing, by choosing the higher path, by seeing your thoughts like passing clouds, not commands, not truth, just noise. And you stay still in the middle of it all. Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal, sickness, death, and still wrote about being calm, fair, disciplined. He didn't do it because it was easy. He did it because he knew what he was capable of if he remembered who he was, not just a man, but a mind, a soul, a set of values walking through chaos. You are capable of the same, but only if you stop using your humanity as an excuse. I'm just tired. I'm just emotional. I'm just not motivated. No, you're just forgetting your power. The power to decide, the power to direct your focus, the power to step outside the automatic response. That's what it means to transcend. It doesn't mean you stop being human. It means you stop being trapped in what human nature defaults to. You don't reject the body. You master it. You don't reject emotion. You channel it. You don't reject fear. You walk through it with eyes open, This is what the Stoics trained for, and this is how you end the journey, not with applause or perfection, but with quiet, steady elevation. So when the next wave hits, whatever it is, remember, you can respond as you were taught to, or you can rise. You can transcend the human frame and walk forward as the master of your mind, not the prisoner of your habits. You've just walked through 35 Stoic strategies, not quotes, not fluff, but real, grounded tools forged in fire and tested by time. Tools that help you break fear apart, silence self-doubt, and step forward with clarity, no matter the outcome. From rising with purpose to practicing silent accountability, from collecting failure like currency to transcending the limits of your own mind, what you've learned here isn't just philosophy. It's a blueprint for living. Remember, fear of failure only controls those who never challenge it. But now, you have everything you need to fight back. Not with emotion, not with ego, but with discipline, with awareness, with action. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these 35 strategies hit you the hardest? Which one are you going to apply today? Don't just write it, own it. That's how you start to change. And if this video helped sharpen your mindset, don't let it be the last. Subscribe now and join a growing group of warriors training their minds to be stronger than their fears, one principle at a time. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs more grounded minds. Let's keep building yours. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that at the beginning of each day we should pause and ask ourselves what hopes we hold for the hours ahead and what steps we can take to make the most of them. This is because every new day offers a fresh opportunity to live in alignment with our virtues. In this video, we'll delve into 8 powerful Stoic morning habits that can help you begin each day with intention and inner peace. These habits are not just practical tools, they are deeply grounded in Stoic teachings and philosophy. Each one is designed to help you bring your thoughts and actions into harmony with the principles that guide a Stoic life. As we explore these habits, I will also share timeless quotes from key Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. These quotes serve not only to inspire, but also to illuminate the deeper philosophical meaning behind each practice. Before we continue, I would truly appreciate it if you could take a moment to like this video. It helps us reach more people who might benefit from these teachings. And if you don't want to miss any of the upcoming content, make sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell. Let's begin with the first habit: morning reflection. When you wake up, consider the incredible gift of simply being alive, the gift of breathing, of thinking, of feeling joy, and of being able to love. Marcus Aurelius captures this beautifully. The first Stoic habit I want to present is the practice of morning reflection. This habit lays the foundation for starting your day with mental clarity and a strong sense of purpose. Morning reflection is a period of quiet introspection. It's a moment we intentionally carve out to revisit our values, our objectives, and what truly matters in life. Morning reflection is essentially a meditative practice. It's a contemplative exercise performed in the stillness of the early hours, free from distractions. This practice allows you to connect with your innermost thoughts and feelings. It mentally prepares you for the day by helping you align your upcoming actions with your deeper values and guiding principles. Let's first consider the benefits of this habit, and then explore how to put it into practice. One of the key benefits is mental clarity. Taking a few moments to reflect clears your mind of unnecessary concerns and allows you to focus on what's truly important. This clarity helps you approach the day with a more organized and purposeful mindset. Another benefit is the sense of direction it provides. By setting a clear intention for the day, you can ensure that your actions remain in step with your values and priorities. Morning reflection also fosters emotional resilience. When you think deeply about your principles and how you plan to embody them, you become more capable of handling stress and adversity with calm and poise. Lastly, this practice encourages personal growth. By engaging with your thoughts and evaluating your internal landscape, you can become more self-aware and begin to work consciously on areas you wish to improve. To practice morning reflection, begin your day in a space that offers comfort and tranquility. This could be a quiet corner in your room, a peaceful spot in your garden, or any place that allows you to feel at ease and free from interruptions. Before diving into your thoughts, take a few deep, calming breaths to help anchor you in the present moment. Reflect on the Stoic virtues, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, and think about how you can live out these principles in the day ahead. Visualize your upcoming experiences, the interactions you'll have, the challenges you may face, and how you can respond to each scenario with patience, reason, and virtue. Ask yourself, what opportunities will I have today to practice these values? Set your intentions clearly. What specific actions can you take to live in greater alignment with your values? How might you contribute to your own growth and to the well-being of those around you? To inspire your practice, consider this quote from Marcus Aurelius. Perfect tranquility consists in the good ordering of the mind, the realm within your own control. In essence, morning reflection is a transformative Stoic habit that prepares you to face the day with mental clarity and a peaceful heart. So tomorrow, before jumping into your routine, give yourself a few moments to reflect and define your purpose. You might be surprised at how this simple ritual can profoundly improve your day. Let's now move on to the second Stoic morning habit, gratitude. There's a quiet joy in reflecting on the blessings we already possess, the gifts, both great and small, that enrich our lives. The second habit I want to share is the practice of gratitude. In Stoic thought, gratitude holds a central place because it shifts our focus away from what we lack and helps us recognize the value of what we already have. It nurtures a sense of abundance and deep contentment. Practicing gratitude means consciously recognizing and appreciating the good in our lives. It is a deliberate effort to turn our attention to the positive aspects, whether they are everyday pleasures or major accomplishments. For the Stoics, expressing gratitude is also a reminder of life's fleeting nature and the importance of cherishing each moment while we have it. The benefits of this habit are profound. First, it enhances emotional well-being. A grateful mindset is closely associated with increased happiness and reduced stress, as it helps us focus on the good rather than dwelling on the negative. Second, gratitude strengthens our relationships. When we express appreciation for others, it deepens our connections and shows that we value their presence in our lives. Third, gratitude builds resilience. When we're grateful, we're better equipped to handle life's difficulties because we maintain a more balanced and hopeful perspective. Lastly, this habit fosters a mindset of abundance. Instead of constantly striving for more or lamenting what's missing, gratitude teaches us to truly appreciate the present and what it already offers. You can practice gratitude each morning by setting aside time to write down the things you're thankful for in a journal. This might include your health, your loved ones, or even the simple joy of a quiet morning or a comforting cup of tea. If journaling isn't your style, you can instead take a few silent moments to reflect on the blessings in your life. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and let your mind wander through all that you are grateful for. Begin your day by focusing on the positive things you anticipate, the little joys that may await you. This simple act can lift your mood and transform your outlook from the very start of the day. You might also consider taking a moment to thank someone in your life. It could be through a quick message, a phone call, or simply by telling them in person how much they mean to you. As Epictetus wisely said, it is not happiness that makes us grateful, but gratitude that makes us happy. Gratitude is a powerful force for living more fully and meaningfully. By beginning your day with a grateful heart, you invite greater joy and peace into your life. This habit not only supports your emotional health, but also deepens your bonds with others and helps you greet each day with a more optimistic spirit. So tomorrow morning, pause for a moment to acknowledge all that you have to be grateful for. You may find that this simple act can truly change the course of your day. Now let's move to the third Stoic morning habit, reading and study. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Don't waste time debating what a good person should be. Just be one." The third habit is the daily practice of reading and studying philosophical and uplifting texts. For the Stoics, wisdom is not a luxury. It is essential to living a virtuous life. Taking time each morning to read and reflect on meaningful ideas not only inspires us, but equips us with the mental tools needed to confront life's challenges with courage and clarity. Morning reading and study involve dedicating a specific time each day to absorb knowledge that enriches both the mind and the soul. This practice doesn't have to be limited to Stoic works. Any material that encourages you to think deeply, question assumptions, and grow intellectually can serve this purpose. Whether it's passages from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, letters from Seneca, or reflections from Epictetus, these texts offer profound guidance that remains relevant to modern life. To engage with this habit effectively, begin by selecting texts that resonate with you, words that challenge you, comfort you, or inspire you to live more wisely. Carve out a consistent period each morning for this practice. It doesn't have to be long. Even 10 minutes of focused reading can set the tone for the rest of your day. Let this quiet time become a sanctuary for thought, where you nourish your mind and prepare your spirit. Through regular study, you'll find that your thoughts become clearer, your values more grounded, and your responses to life's difficulties more composed. It's not about how much you read, but how deeply you engage with the ideas and how sincerely you strive to apply them in your daily life. The words of these ancient philosophers are more than historical curiosities. They are living wisdom, ready to help us navigate our modern world with integrity, strength, and serenity. By making reading and reflection part of your morning ritual, you open your mind to growth and cultivate the kind of wisdom that endures. What truly matters is not just the act of reading, but what you do with it afterward. Take the time to genuinely reflect on what you've read. Don't simply absorb the words, engage with them. Ask yourself meaningful questions. How do these ideas apply to your own life? What lessons can you extract from them, and how can you begin to implement them today? It's important to capture your insights. Keep a journal where you can write down your thoughts and reflections based on what you've read. This journaling process will not only help you internalize the teachings, but will also serve as a reminder of the core messages and principles you've encountered. Now let's consider the benefits of engaging in morning reading and study. First, it broadens your intellectual horizons. Reading philosophical or uplifting material stretches the mind, introduces new ideas, and offers various perspectives that enrich your understanding. Reflecting deeply on Stoic teachings nurtures wisdom and builds a deeper awareness of what it means to live a life rooted in virtue. Second, it contributes significantly to the development of character. The principles and insights you encounter through this practice gradually shape your inner values and help align your behavior with them. Third, it serves as a form of preparation. This daily ritual grounds you, giving you a solid mental and emotional foundation from which to meet whatever the day brings. It fosters a sense of calm and clarity that acts as a shield against life's inevitable turbulence. As Epictetus wisely stated, the soul becomes what you feed it. Nourish it with something noble and enriching. Reading and studying in the morning can be a transformative practice that sharpens your mind and elevates your spirit. Starting your day with wisdom equips you to step into the world with clarity, confidence, and purpose. This simple yet powerful habit not only expands your intellect, but also strengthens your character and inspires you to live with greater intention. So, tomorrow morning, give yourself the gift of a few quiet moments to read and reflect. You may be surprised by how profoundly this simple ritual can impact your life. Now let's move on to the fourth habit, meditation. Epictetus once advised, first tell yourself who you want to be and then act accordingly. This captures the essence of Stoic meditation, a practice rooted not in emptying the mind, but in actively examining your inner life. Stoic meditation is about reflecting deeply on your actions, emotions, and principles. It is a time for mental focus and spiritual preparation before you face the day ahead. So, what does this form of meditation look like? It's a practice of introspection and evaluation. It invites you to think about how well you are living in alignment with your values. You take a few moments to ask yourself whether your thoughts, behaviors, and decisions reflect the Stoic principles you aspire to embody. This reflective space allows you to strengthen your self-awareness and build the emotional resilience needed to face life's unpredictability with composure. To practice morning meditation, find a quiet and comfortable place, maybe a chair, a mat on the floor, or wherever you feel most at ease. Begin by taking deep, steady breaths to calm your nervous system. Inhale slowly through your nose, then exhale gently through your mouth. Once centered, bring your Stoic ideals to mind. Ask yourself, in what ways can I live more virtuously today? What challenges might arise, and how can I meet them with wisdom and composure? Think back on the day before. Were there moments you could have handled differently? Where can you grow or improve today? This is a sacred time to be honest with yourself. You might also visualize your upcoming day. Imagine navigating challenges with serenity, making wise choices, and staying grounded in your principles. End your meditation with a moment of gratitude. Reflect on the good in your life, however small, and allow that gratitude to warm your heart and shift your focus to abundance rather than lack. There are many benefits to this practice. Meditation brings clarity of thought, helping you filter out distractions and center your attention on what truly matters. It also enhances emotional intelligence by allowing you to process your feelings and respond to stress with greater poise. This deepening of self-knowledge gives you insights into your strengths and areas for improvement, creating space for personal evolution. Furthermore, morning meditation helps you mentally prepare for the day. When you anticipate challenges and mentally rehearse how to meet them with calm and virtue, you're less likely to be thrown off by surprise or emotion. As one inspirational thought reminds us, true improvement begins with self-awareness, and meditation is a powerful tool for fostering that awareness. It's a transformative discipline that sets the tone for a more peaceful, intentional life. Spending a few minutes in quiet reflection each morning can fortify your spirit and bring a centered focus to your day. This daily commitment not only enhances mental and emotional well-being, but also supports you in staying true to your Stoic values. So, tomorrow morning, find a quiet space, take a few deep breaths, and devote time to this inner work. You may find it becomes one of the most grounding parts of your life. Next is the fifth habit, physical exercise. The saying, "A healthy mind in a healthy body," captures the Stoic belief that caring for both the body and the mind is essential. The Stoics placed high value on physical health, not for vanity or appearance, but because a sound body supports a resilient and disciplined mind. Morning physical activity does more than energize you physically. It also sharpens your mental state and bolsters your spirit. So what does physical exercise mean in the Stoic tradition? It's not just about working out for the sake of fitness. It's about building inner discipline, strength, and endurance through consistent physical activity. The Stoics weren't concerned with aesthetics. Instead, they saw exercise as a training ground for the mind and character, a means of cultivating perseverance and harmony within oneself. Choose a form of movement that brings you joy and energy. It might be a brisk walk, yoga, stretching, running, weightlifting, or any activity that uplifts your body and spirit. The practice doesn't need to be lengthy. Just 20 to 30 minutes each morning can create a profound impact. What matters most is the regularity of the routine. Focus not on quick results or physical perfection, but on how this practice enhances your overall wellness. Exercise should elevate your energy levels, improve your mood, and help you feel more grounded in your body. Remember to respect your physical limits. The goal is to build strength, not to injure yourself. Be mindful of how your body feels and adjust intensity gradually. You can also integrate your physical activity with reflective practices. For instance, during a walk, contemplate your Stoic principles or practice gratitude. This combination nurtures both the body and the mind, deepening the benefits of your morning ritual. The rewards of regular morning exercise are numerous. It significantly improves physical health, enhancing cardiovascular function, strengthening muscles and bones, and supporting a healthy weight. It also infuses your mornings with energy, making you feel more alert, alive, and ready for the day. Physical activity is a natural stress reliever. It stimulates the release of endorphins, your brain's feel-good chemicals that elevate your mood and ease anxiety. Maintaining an exercise routine fosters discipline and strengthens your will, which are crucial qualities for any Stoic-minded individual. Beyond the physical, exercise supports mental wellness. Studies consistently link regular movement with improved mood, reduced depression, and better emotional balance. As Epictetus observed, the body must be conditioned to support the soul. A strong soul cannot reside in a frail body. Physical exercise, then, is more than a fitness goal. It is an essential part of a balanced and meaningful life. Incorporating movement into your mornings not only cares for your physical self, but also strengthens your mental and emotional resilience. It prepares you to meet the day with vigor, confidence, and clarity of mind. So tomorrow morning, rise up and move. You'll likely find that this simple habit reshapes not just your body, but your outlook on life. Finally, we arrive at the sixth habit, planning the day. As Marcus Aurelius once noted, the art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. It demands alertness, readiness, and the ability to respond thoughtfully to sudden challenges. This makes planning your day a crucial Stoic habit. Rather than drifting into your tasks and activities, take time each morning to outline your intentions and responsibilities. The Stoics valued deliberate action. They believed in being prepared and proactive, not impulsively reactive. Planning your day doesn't just enhance your productivity, it ensures that your actions align with your deeper values and goals. In the Stoic framework, planning is not just about checking off tasks. It's about setting priorities, identifying meaningful objectives, and being ready for possible obstacles. It's a time of reflection and intention setting. What do you want to accomplish today? And how can you do so in a way that is thoughtful, virtuous, and effective? This daily practice fosters clarity and order, allowing you to live with intention rather than being swept up by chaos or distraction. By thinking ahead and anchoring your goals in your core values, you create a roadmap that leads you toward a more principled and purposeful life. Be intentional with your actions, ensuring that every task you take on throughout the day reflects your values and deeper goals. Begin practicing daily planning by revisiting your long-term objectives. Think about what truly matters to you and consider how the actions you take today can move you one step closer to those overarching dreams. Once you've anchored yourself in your values, write down all the tasks you need to complete during the day. This should include both major responsibilities and everyday routines. Then, organize these tasks based on their importance and urgency. Ask yourself which actions are helping you advance toward your aspirations and which are essential for your well-being and that of the people around you. Next, create a daily schedule. Allocate specific time slots for each task, being mindful of your energy levels and ability to focus. Make sure to include short breaks and moments of rest so you don't burn out. Prepare yourself mentally for obstacles that might arise. Anticipate potential challenges and think through possible solutions and strategies to deal with disruptions or distractions before they occur. At the end of the day, pause to review your progress. Look at what you accomplished and make adjustments to your approach where necessary. Reflect on what worked well and what could be improved. The benefits of daily planning are numerous and powerful. First, it enhances your productivity. By planning ahead, you become more organized and efficient, allowing you to get more done in less time. Second, it significantly reduces stress. Knowing exactly what needs to be done and when gives you a greater sense of control and lessens anxiety. Third, planning sharpens your focus. When you know what's truly important, it's easier to stay on task and avoid distractions. Fourth, it supports your long-term ambitions. Daily planning keeps your goals in front of you, ensuring that you're making steady progress each day. Finally, it cultivates resilience. When you've already considered potential setbacks and planned how to deal with them, you're more equipped to stay calm and adaptable when the unexpected happens. As the philosopher Seneca wisely said, if you don't know to which port you are sailing, no wind will be favorable. Planning your day is a transformative habit that brings clarity, direction, and purpose to your life. When you take time each morning to set your priorities and structure your time, you align your actions with your values and intentions. This habit not only improves how much you get done, but it also deepens your ability to live a more intentional, meaningful life. So, tomorrow morning, give yourself the gift of planning your day and observe how it begins to reshape your experience of life. Another foundational habit is establishing a connection with nature. Marcus Aurelius once reflected that the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. So strive to keep your mind aligned with nature and free from anything that strays from virtue. This seventh Stoic morning habit involves reconnecting with the natural world. The Stoics held nature in high regard, believing that living in harmony with it was key to cultivating peace and wisdom. Spending time in nature every morning can instill a sense of calm, renew your spirit, and remind you of the beauty and order that exists all around you. In the Stoic perspective, nature serves as a guide and a mirror. It teaches us about simplicity, resilience, and balance. By immersing ourselves in the natural world, we observe timeless patterns and principles that can bring clarity and wisdom to our daily lives. To begin this practice, dedicate a few minutes each morning to being outside. Whether it's in your garden, a nearby park, or simply on your balcony, take time to truly notice the world around you. Look at the trees, listen to the birds, feel the morning breeze against your skin. This intentional act of observation anchors you in the present moment and aligns you with the rhythms of life. Use this opportunity to practice deep breathing. Inhale the fresh air, let it fill you with calm and energy, and exhale any tension. Consider the silent lessons offered by nature, how plants grow slowly and steadily, how animals move in harmony with their environment. Reflect on how you might bring some of that same grace and resilience into your own way of living. If possible, combine this moment of nature connection with physical activity. A walk, a light jog, or even gentle yoga practiced outdoors can help you benefit physically while nurturing your inner stillness. The rewards of connecting with nature in the morning are profound. Being in natural surroundings soothes the nervous system, easing stress and anxiety and promoting inner peace. The sights and sounds of nature clear your mind and boost both focus and creativity. Breathing clean air and moving your body outdoors infuse you with vitality and prepare you to meet the day with clarity and energy. Observing nature roots you in the present, enhancing your mindfulness and deepening your sense of gratitude. The eighth and final Stoic morning habit is the deliberate practice of resilience. True contentment, according to Stoicism, comes from cultivating resilience, learning to embrace the present without being enslaved by fears of the future. Resilience is about building the inner strength to bounce back from challenges and adapt to change. For the Stoics, this wasn't just a coping mechanism, it was a necessary virtue for facing life's inevitable hardships with courage and wisdom. The Stoic practice of resilience begins with mental preparation. Take a moment in the morning to imagine the potential obstacles you might face that day. These could include workplace frustrations, strained conversations, or unexpected stressors. Visualizing them helps you avoid being caught off guard. Prepare your mind to meet these challenges with composure. Remind yourself that while you may not control what happens, you always control how you respond. Choose to face difficulty with resolve and clarity. Adopt an attitude of acceptance toward the things you cannot change. Life naturally comes with both highs and lows, and part of resilience is understanding that adversity is not an enemy, it is a teacher. Within each struggle lies a lesson. Rather than seeing obstacles as threats, ask what they can reveal about yourself and how they can help you grow stronger and wiser. Let gratitude guide you through difficulty. Be thankful for the ways life tests you, for in those tests lie opportunities to evolve. Even in your darkest moments, there is value to be found. Gratitude reshapes your mindset and helps you find meaning where others may only see pain. The benefits of this morning resilience practice are transformative. You become more adaptable, able to respond to life's twists and turns with grace. Your stress levels decrease as you shift from resistance to acceptance and from fear to purposeful action. Your character deepens and your belief in your own strength solidifies. When you approach decisions with calm and clarity, you choose more wisely and live more intentionally. Emotional well-being follows. Resilience enables you to maintain hope and optimism, even in the face of great difficulty. As the saying goes, the hottest fire forges the strongest steel. The more we endure, the stronger we become. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship, but about becoming someone who can stand firm in it, someone who can learn, grow, and keep moving forward. So, tomorrow morning, carve out a moment to prepare your heart and mind for whatever may come. Cultivate resilience as a quiet strength, and watch how this single habit begins to change not only your day, but the direction of your life. Today, we're diving into a topic that I'm sure many of you will find very interesting: how to detoxify our minds and stop overthinking everything. It sounds like something we all could use, right? There are times when our minds feel like a whirlwind, constantly spinning with endless thoughts, worries, and doubts that prevent us from being able to fully enjoy the present moment. But don't worry, because today I'm going to share 16 simple strategies based on Stoic philosophy that will help you free your mind and find inner peace. Imagine this: you're in bed, ready to fall asleep, but your mind is racing with thoughts about work, family, unmet goals, and even the future. You keep tossing and turning, unable to quiet the noise in your head. This is something we've all experienced at one point or another, but it doesn't have to be this way. The Stoics, with their ancient wisdom, teach us that we can train our minds to be calmer and more focused. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. These 16 strategies, grounded in Stoic philosophy, are designed to help us live a more serene and balanced life. We'll take a closer look at each strategy, explaining not only how to apply them in our daily lives, but also why they work and how they can transform the way we think. To make this even more meaningful, I'll accompany each strategy with a special quote from a Stoic philosopher that will inspire you and help you understand the concept better. Let's start with the first strategy: the power of positive affirmations. This may sound simple, but it's often overlooked, and yet it can have a great impact. Seneca, a well-known Stoic philosopher, once said, "The greatest part of happiness depends on our disposition, not our circumstances." Positive affirmations are statements we repeat to ourselves with the intention of fostering a positive mindset and empowering ourselves. They are important because our thoughts have a profound effect on our perception of reality. If we constantly tell ourselves negative things, we'll begin to see the world in a negative light. However, if we change that internal dialogue and start telling ourselves positive things, our perspective can change drastically. For example, imagine waking up in the morning and the first thought you have is, "Today is going to be a difficult day." That thought will likely influence how you approach the rest of your day. But if instead you tell yourself, "Today I have the opportunity to do amazing things," that affirmation can motivate you and set a more positive tone for your day. Positive affirmations work because they help us reprogram our minds, shifting our focus toward achievement rather than fear. This reduces anxiety and rumination, helping us stay focused on constructive thoughts. I encourage you to start using positive affirmations in your life. Identify areas where you feel insecure or negative and create affirmations that counteract those thoughts. For instance, if you're worried about not being good enough at your job, you might say, "I am capable and confident in my skills." Repeat these affirmations daily, especially in moments of doubt or stress. How do you feel about trying positive affirmations today? I encourage you to pick one that resonates with you and start using it. Now, let's move on to the second strategy: simplifying your life. It might seem like an obvious concept, but it's something we often forget to do. Seneca also said, "It is the mind that does good or evil. It is the mind that makes us unhappy or happy, rich or poor." In our modern world, we are surrounded by complexity. We have too many possessions, too many tasks, and too many worries, all of which contribute to an overloaded mind. Simplifying our lives means reducing excess in all its forms, whether it's material things, commitments, or even unnecessary thoughts. Take a moment to think about your home. How many things do you own that you don't really need? Each additional object is a mental burden. The same principle applies to our daily activities. Sometimes we commit to too many things, leaving us feeling overwhelmed. By simplifying, we create more space in our lives and in our minds. This is effective because eliminating unnecessary distractions reduces the number of things we need to think about. The fewer things we have to worry about, the fewer decisions we need to make, and the less mental clutter we have to manage. This opens up more time and energy to focus on what truly matters. Start by decluttering your environment. Get rid of things that you don't need or that don't bring you joy. Then take a look at your commitments and see if there's anything you can simplify or delegate. Lastly, try simplifying your thoughts by practicing mindfulness and focusing on the present moment. This will help reduce mental clutter and bring a sense of calm to your life. Let's move on to the third strategy: limiting the information you consume. In today's digital age, we are constantly bombarded with information. While some of it is valuable, much of it is not. This constant influx of information can overwhelm our minds and prevent us from being present. By limiting the amount of information we take in, we can reduce unnecessary distractions and maintain better focus. This approach can be particularly challenging in today's digital age, but it is crucial for our mental well-being. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." Our thoughts are deeply influenced by the information we take in, and in a world flooded with constant streams of news, social media, emails and messages, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. All of this competing for our attention can lead to information overload, leaving our minds feeling cluttered and stressed. By limiting the information we consume, we can alleviate this mental noise. To start, be more selective with the sources of information you engage with. Choose only those that genuinely add value to your life, and avoid the ones that only contribute to stress or anxiety. Another effective step is setting time limits for your use of electronic devices. For example, you might decide to check the news just once a day or restrict your social media use to certain times. This approach works because by reducing the information we consume, we allow our minds to breathe and have more space to process the things that truly matter. This creates room for deeper thinking and creativity. The fourth strategy encourages the development of a regular exercise routine, which benefits both our mind and body. Seneca once said, "The mind is anxious for the future, it is miserable." Exercise serves as an excellent way to calm that anxiety and clear our minds. Not only does regular physical activity improve our physical health, but it also has a significant positive impact on our mental health. When we exercise, our body releases endorphins, the chemicals that make us feel good and reduce stress. Exercise can also help us clear our minds as it shifts our focus from worries to movement and breathing. Imagine starting your day with a run, feeling the fresh air against your skin, the rhythmic movement of your feet on the ground, and your mind starting to clear. As you run, the worries about work or personal issues fade into the background. You're simply enjoying the moment, which is a great way to practice mindfulness while also taking care of your body. This works because exercise not only enhances physical fitness, but also helps us manage stress and anxiety more effectively. Furthermore, it provides a sense of accomplishment and well-being, which improves our overall attitude toward life. It's highly beneficial to incorporate more physical activity into your daily routine. The fifth strategy is daily meditation. Though this practice may seem simple, it has a profound impact on our mental clarity. Meditation is a powerful tool to calm the mind and reduce an excess of thoughts. It involves taking some time each day to sit in silence, focus on your breathing, and observe your thoughts without judgment. Through this practice, we train our minds to become more present and less reactive. Picture yourself finding a quiet space, sitting comfortably and closing your eyes. As you breathe deeply, you focus on the sensation of the air entering and leaving your lungs. If your mind starts to wander, you gently guide it back to your breath without self-criticism. This regular practice helps reduce stress and anxiety, allowing you to better manage the challenges of daily life. It works because meditation teaches us to observe our thoughts without becoming attached to them. Over time, this creates mental space, helping us see things more clearly and with less emotional attachment. It also reduces the volume of overwhelming thoughts and leads to a more calm and focused mind. The sixth strategy is about setting clear limits. This is crucial for maintaining peace of mind. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, reminds us, "No one can hurt you without your consent." This wisdom applies to our ability to establish boundaries in life. Setting boundaries means being clear about what you are willing to accept and what you are not, including your time, energy, and relationships. Without clear limits, we can become overwhelmed and resentful as we allow others' demands to take precedence over our own well-being. Imagine you are at work and your boss asks you to stay late for the third time in a week. Setting a boundary could mean respectfully saying, "I understand this is important, but I also need time to rest and recharge. I cannot stay late today." At first, this may feel uncomfortable, but it is vital for your health. This strategy works because when we set clear limits, we protect our time and energy, which allows us to focus on what really matters. Establishing boundaries reduces stress and anxiety, and it fosters healthier relationships. So, what do you think? Are you ready to start setting clearer boundaries? Let's move on to the next strategy. But before we do, take a moment to reflect on an area of your life where establishing a clear limit could bring you some benefits. Let's now talk about the seventh strategy. Surround yourself with positive people. This is an important aspect of life that can significantly influence our mindset, the people we choose to spend time with. The philosopher who is most powerful is the one who masters themselves. Part of mastering ourselves involves making wise choices about the company we keep. The people we surround ourselves with have a profound impact on our mentality. If we are constantly around negative people, we are likely to absorb that negativity. However, if we surround ourselves with positive people, those who support and uplift us, we also tend to have a more positive outlook. Picture a friend who always manages to find the silver lining and motivates you to do better. Spending time with such a person can leave you feeling inspired and more confident in yourself. On the other hand, spending time with someone who is always negative and complains about everything can drain your energy and bring you down. Why does this work? Because emotions and attitudes are contagious. When we are in a positive environment, we are more likely to feel happier and less stressed. Of course, this doesn't mean we should avoid people who are going through tough times, but we need to be mindful of how their energy impacts us and make an effort to surround ourselves with those who uplift us. Now, let's talk about the eighth strategy. Accept impermanence. This is a key aspect of Stoic philosophy that is essential for peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Observe how many waves of change have passed over you, and you will understand that things which change constantly should not be feared." To accept impermanence is to acknowledge that everything in life, including situations, emotions, and even ourselves, is in a state of constant change. This realization can help alleviate much of our stress and anxiety because it frees us from the illusion that things must remain the same to be good. Imagine facing a challenge in your life that causes you significant stress. Understanding the impermanence of this situation helps you realize that it won't last forever. Everything, both good and bad, eventually changes. By internalizing this truth, you learn not to hold on too tightly to anything, which can bring a great sense of peace. Why does this work? Because when we accept that things change, we become more flexible and resilient. Instead of fighting change, we embrace it and adapt, which reduces unnecessary thoughts and worries as we stop trying to control what is beyond our control. The ninth strategy is to spend time on your hobbies. This is something we often overlook in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Epictetus reminds us that leisure, when combined with meaningful activities, is essential for a fulfilled life. Our hobbies are the activities we are passionate about and that bring us joy. When we dedicate time to these hobbies, we allow ourselves a break from our daily worries and focus on something that makes us happy. This is not just a mental break, but it can also become a source of inspiration and creativity. Imagine you enjoy painting. If you set aside an hour a day for painting, it can be a wonderful way to clear your mind, express your emotions, and reconnect with yourself. It's not about being the best at your hobby. It's about enjoying the process and allowing yourself that time for self-care. Why does this work? Because when we give ourselves permission to engage in activities that bring us joy, we nourish our soul, reduce stress, and help maintain a healthy balance in our lives. Hobbies also offer an excellent opportunity to practice mindfulness as we become fully immersed in the activity at hand. So, what do you think? Are you ready to dedicate more time to your hobbies? Let's now move on to the 10th strategy. But before we do, think of a hobby that brings you joy and how you can integrate it more regularly into your routine. Now, let's discuss the 10th strategy. Learn to say no. This is something many of us struggle with, yet it is one of the most powerful tools we can develop to protect our peace of mind. As Seneca wisely said, it's not that things are difficult, but that we don't dare to say they are difficult. Learning to say no can help us avoid feeling overwhelmed and resentful. Often, we feel obliged to say yes to every request made of us, whether it's at work, in our families, or within our friendships. However, this can lead to stress and exhaustion. Imagine being asked to take on an additional project at work when you are already at your limit. Saying yes might only add to your stress, but saying no in a firm yet respectful way helps protect your time and energy. Why does this work? Because when we learn to say no, we are protecting our mental well-being and setting healthy boundaries. Saying no allows us to focus on what truly matters without taking on more than we can handle. It enables us to prioritize what truly matters and avoid the exhaustion that comes from overcommitting. Saying no does not mean being selfish. Rather, it is an act of self-care that makes us more effective and happier. By saying no, we protect our time and energy, ensuring we can focus on what is most important. So, what do you think? Are you ready to start saying no when it's necessary? Take a moment to reflect on a recent situation where you could have said no and consider how it might have reduced your stress level. Next, let's talk about the importance of cultivating patience. Patience is a key virtue in maintaining serenity and composure in difficult situations. Marcus Aurelius once said that life is more like a battle than a dance, as we must be constantly alert and prepared for unexpected challenges. Patience is the ability to tolerate delays, problems, or suffering without becoming angry or anxious. In today's fast-paced world, where instant results are often expected, cultivating patience is essential for reducing frustration and stress. When we practice patience, we are better able to handle difficulties and reduce overwhelming thoughts. For instance, imagine you are in a long queue waiting for your turn. Instead of becoming impatient, you take a deep breath and use that time to reflect, observe, or simply relax. Why does this work? Because patience allows us to accept things as they are, without trying to force them to be different. This reduces mental resilience and anxiety, helping us make more informed and thoughtful decisions. Reflect on a recent situation where you could have been more patient and how it would have changed your experience. Now, let's explore the 12th strategy: finding time for nature. Spending time outdoors in nature can have a profoundly calming effect on our minds. Nature offers us an opportunity to disconnect from the noise and busyness of everyday life, reminding us of the beauty and simplicity of the world around us. Imagine taking a walk in the park or hiking through the woods. You feel the fresh air, hear the birds singing, and see the greenery surrounding you. This simple act can help clear your mind, reduce stress, and make you feel more connected to the world around you. Why does this work? Because nature has a restorative effect on our brains, helping us relax and recharge. Moreover, being in nature encourages mindfulness as we focus on our senses and the present moment, allowing us to be fully immersed in the experience. Another important strategy is to take a regular digital break. In our digital age, we are constantly connected to our devices, which can lead to information overload and a constantly busy mind. A digital disconnection involves taking a break from electronic devices and the constant stream of information they bring. Imagine spending a whole day without checking your phone, reading emails, or scrolling through social media. At first it might feel strange, but soon you'll notice a sense of freedom and peace of mind. You will have more time to be present, Enjoy activities without interruptions and reconnect with yourself. Why is this effective? Because disconnecting digitally gives our minds a rest from the constant bombardment of stimuli, reducing stress and anxiety. It allows us to be more focused and present in our lives, and also helps us develop a healthier relationship with technology, using it in a more intentional and mindful way. Finally, let's talk about the power of practicing forgiveness. Epictetus taught that it is not what happens to us, but how we react to it, that matters. Forgiveness is not about justifying the negative behavior of others, but about freeing ourselves from the grip of resentment and bitterness. When we hold on to grudges, we keep the wounds of the past alive, which only causes us more pain. Practicing forgiveness allows us to heal and move forward. Imagine that someone has hurt you. Forgiving them does not mean that what they did was right, but it means that you choose not to let that hurt control your life any longer. By forgiving, you release the emotional charge associated with the incident and allow your mind to focus on more positive and meaningful things. These negative emotions consume a significant amount of our mental energy, leaving us drained and focused on the past. By letting go of grudges and choosing forgiveness, we free ourselves from this weight, allowing our minds to focus on the present and on positive aspects of life. This shift not only lightens our emotional load, but also reduces the frequency of negative thoughts. In turn, we can improve our mental health, making room for more positivity and allowing us to live fuller and happier lives. So, what do you think? Are you ready to embrace the practice of forgiveness? Take a moment to reflect on a situation where forgiving someone could have a profound impact on your life, and think about how that could change your experience moving forward. Next, we move on to the fifth strategy, keeping a personal journal. Writing in a journal is a powerful practice that can help you organize your thoughts and emotions. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, demonstrated how writing can serve as a tool for introspection and achieving mental clarity. By regularly recording your thoughts, you give yourself the freedom to express your emotions, helping you understand them better and find solutions to your problems. For instance, imagine you're feeling overwhelmed by a challenging situation in your life. Writing about it in your journal allows you to explore your feelings, process your thoughts, and consider possible approaches to the issue at hand. This act not only helps you navigate through your emotions, but also alleviates mental burden by transferring your thoughts from your mind onto paper. Why does this work? Because writing organizes our thoughts and offers a fresh perspective, which is incredibly helpful for reducing stress and anxiety. Journaling acts as a form of self-therapy, fostering personal growth and enhancing self-understanding. The final strategy we will discuss is practicing self-compassion. As Seneca often reminded us, we suffer more in our imaginations than in reality. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness, patience, and understanding that you would offer to a dear friend. When we make mistakes or face challenges, it's easy to become self-critical and harsh on ourselves. However, practicing self-compassion allows us to accept our imperfections and gives us permission to be human. Imagine you've made a mistake at work. Instead of mentally punishing yourself, you decide to be kind to yourself, telling yourself that mistakes are part of being human and that it's important to learn from them and move forward. This approach not only alleviates stress and anxiety, but also cultivates a growth mindset and resilience. Why is this effective? Because self-compassion helps us manage stress and pressure in a healthier way. Instead of adding unnecessary suffering through self-criticism, we support ourselves with understanding and love, which enables us to recover more quickly from setbacks and maintain a calmer, more balanced mind.